yards to become only the third player in NFL history to reach the 11,000 plateau as Pittsburgh beat Green Bay 25-21. Frank Pollard adding 90 yards on the ground, scoring the winning touchdown in the Steeler ball control game, while 7,000-yard man Earl Campbell, who scored 3 touchdowns opening day, sat out Houston's loss to the LA Raiders last week because of a bad knee. But Earl makes his return today as the Houston Oilers play host to the Pittsburgh Steelers in an AFC Central Division matchup. Today's game is brought to you by the new Chrysler Corporation, moving America ahead with advanced technology. By the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be. And by Apple Computer. And we welcome you to the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Sellout crowd on hand. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert along with John Brody. And Houston, John, a club with major problems. 0-2 during the course of the regular season, preceded by an 0-4 preseason, while Pittsburgh, a team in transition, still have the good defense. Terry Bradshaw, of course, is out, but doing it with ball control. And Franco Harris has been thriving.
Well, Franco Harris has been thriving for about 12 years, Marv. This is just another day, except they need to feature him now. With Bradshaw out, that's when they do their best. They've got some other dimensions, but Franco Harris has been a great player for a long time and one of the few that's gone underrated.
All right, Houston with many key injuries, defensive problems, but Earl Campbell is back, and he'll be able to do it today behind what is considered to be a much improved offensive line.
Well, I don't know if it's improved yet. I know it's a new one. They made a lot of trades trying to get their young group on the ball. They need somebody to help Earl Campbell, so they went out to California. Got Matthews from Southern Cal, got Salem from the University of California, had Munchak, who's now well after a year of injury. So they're a young, aggressive offensive line, and if they're going to win today, it's going to be that young offensive line that moves people around.
And Houston head coach Ed Biles very much on the hot seat. 8 up, 19 down since taking over for the very popular Bum Phillips.
Well, I think, Ed, it's no surprise to him that they need a win badly. It's been almost a full year, September 19th, 1982, since they have won a football game, and they need this one badly.
All right, down to the field, you look at Chuck Noll, a man who has been to the Super Bowl 4 times and has won 4 Super Bowls. Pittsburgh Steelers will kick off to the Houston Oilers, who won the toss. And this is Gary Anderson in his second year out of Syracuse by way of South Africa. And this is Carl Rochus out to the 20-yard line. Carl Rochus at 5'8", 170 pounds, coming off what has to be considered an average season, not his usual explosive self. Archie Manning at quarterback, Larry Moriarty out of Notre Dame, who had that 80-yard run last week, and Earl Campbell in the Houston backfield. The receivers, Steve Bryant, Tim Smith, who sat out last week after the 8 receptions on opening day, and the tight end, Dave Casper, making it back from a back injury. Player is down. Pittsburgh Steeler backup safety man Eric Williams was injured during the course of that kickoff. A 19-yard return by Carl Rochus. And the Steelers attending to Eric Williams, member of the Steeler special team, as we look at the defensive unit of the Steelers. Keith Willis, Edmund Nelson, Tom Beasley open up, but Chuck Noll does quite a bit of shuffling. And the linebackers, of course, Jack Lambert anchoring the foursome. And in the secondary, Donnie Shell, Mel Blount, Wayne Woodruff, and the free safety, Ron Johnson. All right, another look at how this occurred.
Well, when you get as many people as you do on kickoffs in that wedge, you can see Williams is down there trying to make the play. He falls right back against his foot, and when your leg won't, when you're going where your leg won't, you get in trouble.
All right, first down for Manning and the Oilers at the 20-yard line, and Archie to throw on first down. He had it for an instant, but it is incomplete. Covered by Jack Lambert.
Just a little away from the flow game. Everybody expects Earl Campbell to start the ball game with a little off the left tackle. Archie does a good job with the bootleg, gets out, throws the ball to Casper on the run. And how many balls have you seen Dave Casper miss? Not very many.
Dave coming off his outstanding season. One of the few bright spots for Houston last year. Second down and 10 at the 20 as David Carter leads them up. Archie Manning, who comes off a 6 for 19 performance last week against the Raiders, although 6 of his passes, at least 6, were dropped. And here's Campbell pulling his way for 3. Earl set out with the sprained left knee last week. 123 yards, 3 touchdowns opening day against Green Bay, with the Pack winning in overtime, and Jack Lambert made the stop on the Earl of Houston.
Well, I don't think people really know what to expect out of Houston's offense. They played so well on opening day against Green Bay, and last week they just were totally inept. So as Archie said, I can't think of a group I've ever been involved with that needs a win more. Most of us never have.
They have not won in just about a year, and off the mix-up, Houston able to recover. Manning covering up, and so much for this opening drive for the Oilers.
Yeah, we see in the first drive two very good reasons why they haven't won a ball game. You know, to have a bad exchange between center and quarterback in the shotgun is inexcusable, but also dropping a ball that's perfectly thrown on the first play of the ball game doesn't help.
Now this is John James, longtime Atlanta Falcon, as you see, averaging 37 per punt. Tim Harris back in single safety, back at his 40-yard line. And this is Harris. Very little running room for Tim Harris, the rookie out of Washington State. A 43-yard punt by James. The short return, 3 yards. Larry Moriarty leading the charge downfield.
Well, Marv, you know, we've become accustomed to watching the Pittsburgh-Houston rivalry with great anticipation, and today you can tell in the stands it's a little flat. And if Houston doesn't do something, they could get run right out of the ballpark, because this group of offensive linemen comes to play every week.
In fact, the Steelers were well received during the introduction of the lineup.
It was a weird reaction.
All right, first down at the 42-yard line, and Franco Harris right to work. Last week against Green Bay, 22 carries, 118 yards, to become only the 3rd player in NFL history to reach 11,000 yards. So it is now just Jim Brown and O.J. Simpson in front of Franco.
Well, he just has for years gone about doing his job in a very deliberate, matter-of-fact manner, and they took him for granted, I think. And they've won more Super Bowls in the last. Now they've won them all while he was back there running the football. So that tells us something about how great this player's been. And still is.
4 out of 4 in Super Bowl competition. This is Abercrombie out to the 45-yard line. Avon Riley in his 3rd year out of UCLA, along with the strong safety, USC's Carter Hartwig, combining on the tackle.
You know, it was interesting looking at that list. The 3 greatest running backs of all time all had number 32 on their backs. Now, that's a bit unique.
Yeah, that's a good number throughout sports. Fellow by the name of Sandy Koufax.
That's going back a bit.
All right, a look at the Houston defensive unit. Kay, incidentally, is playing despite a broken wrist suffered a week ago. 3rd down and 7 for Pittsburgh. We're early moments of the Astrodome in Houston. And here's Cliff Stout. Intended for Greg Hawthorne. And he took a bump from the combination of Kay and Hartwig. So the Pittsburgh opening drive is stopped.
Stout, who had a good ball game last week, didn't play very well in the opener against Denver. Came back, set up, let the ball go in good timing. The ball was thrown just a little high, but Greg should come down with that ball. That keeps their drive from progressing.
And here is Craig Colquitt. He is back after a basketball injury knocked him out of last season toward his right Achilles tendon. And a timeout has been called. So Pittsburgh calling for time as Colquitt was about to punt. Carl Roaches.
They didn't have enough players out there. They only had 10, and you might as well take all they give you.
So 3 minutes have gone by in this first quarter, and we are scoreless. Marv Albert, John Brody. From Houston, Texas, Craig Colquitt getting set to punt from his 32-yard line. Carl Rochus, the lone deep man. And a short punt. One of the up men, Willie Tullis, let it go by. And it rolls inside the 10-yard line. We'll have to see where they spot it. Colquitt gets credit for 48 yards.
Marv, it's the little things such as that. You pointed out to Tullis, let it go by. It's picking up the balls when they seem very insignificant that keeps your drives alive, gives you good field position. It's the difference between winning and losing. And right now, Houston hasn't been doing that. It has something to do with why they haven't won a ball game.
And as a result, Houston will start out from its 7-yard line. Archie Manning at quarterback. The running backs, number 30, Larry Moriarty, 34, Earl Campbell. And this is Campbell. And tripped up. Might have lost a yard. Donnie Shell, the strong safety, in there quickly.
And how many times has he been in there quickly? It's a perfect time to run a safety blitz. That's what they had on, and it's very difficult to run against one.
Last year, Houston record of 1-8. Only Baltimore at 0-8-1 was worse. And how can rushing offense with Earl Campbell finish 26th in the NFL? But Houston did last year.
If you can't throw, it's pretty hard to move on the ground.
So Campbell did lose one. And off the draw, Manning looking to get out of trouble. Campbell does get out to the 10-yard line. Jack Lampert, number 58, in his 10th season out of Kent State, with the reps on Campbell.
Well, you take a look at the young players they have. Now, Munchak might be one of the top guard prospects in the history of the game, number 63, big, strong, mobile, but it takes a while to get the coordination with the other players. Offensive line, I think, takes more time to coordinate your people than any other group. Even though it's as important as it is, it does take a little bit of time.
3rd down and 7. Mike Holston flanked wide right as Manning out of the shotgun throws sideline. The tight end, Casper, for the first down. Shell making the tackle. So the Oilers with their first down of the day. A 17-yard pass play. Manning with the bullet to Casper. And Houston now first down at its 32-yard line. Houston finishing last year with a 7-game losing streak. So they've lost their last 9, and that does not include the 0-4 in preseason. Here's Campbell. A change of direction, but 57. Outside linebacker Mike Merriweather would not let him go.
Well, you can see that Houston would like to run the ball to the right. They figure that maybe they can, if they're going to move it offensively, they're going to move it to the right side. And you generally get the viewpoint of the opposing team's plan when you see a direction in which they go early. Now, they think they can run on Merriweather. So far in the first 2 carries, they haven't been very successful, so you may see them change their viewpoint.
Now Tim Smith to the right. Steve Bryant, 81, bottom of your screen, to the left. It's a 2nd down and 9. 5 minutes gone by. First quarter, no score. Manning unleashing a fast pass. He overthrows, and Donnie Shell coming up with his 2nd interception of the season, intended for Steve Bryant. And the Steelers take over.
Edmund Nelson, Keith Willis, Tom Beasley, both of them rushed Archie into throwing the ball high. When you do that, it's pretty hard to get your drive going. Usually when you see a ball intercepted, you can look right back into the line play. Somebody generally got real close to the quarterback to force him to throw the ball high. In this case, they really didn't do it. Archie's throwing the ball off his back foot. He has his elbow down, and he seems to work into a habit. When he's throwing the ball poorly, his elbow is very low. It was low there, and the ball went high.
And the Steelers take over off the Shell intercept. This is Pringle. House for the first down. Connor Hartwig running him out of bounds. So Pittsburgh not the big play team anymore. Play ball control, conservative offense with Bradshaw sideline. And as we mentioned right at the start, Franco Harris off to a terrific start this season as a result of the fact that they're relying more on him.
Well, 12 years as a running back is very rare. There aren't many players that can even play more than 6. Half of that is a long career for a running back. This man has been healthy, been effective for throughout his whole career, and it's truly amazing.
Now they have Abercrombie flanked to the right side. First down at the 35 of Houston. And it's Harris again this time. Hit up the line by Malcolm Taylor, number 70, second year, Tennessee State. He replaced the veteran Ken Kennard as the starter at left defensive end.
And they have big fellas that are tough to run against. However, they haven't been getting a lot of pressure on the passer. Chuck Studley, the defensive coordinator for the Oilers, mentioned that the way they've gotten to the passer, and they did it 3 times last week, all on blitzes. When you have to do that, you're giving something up. They'd like not to have to, but that's the way it's worked.
All right, 2nd and 9 at the 34. No score, 6 minutes in, first quarter. Here's Harris trying the middle. And a short pickup. Franco Harris, who came up with his first 100-yard game of his career against Houston back in 1972. Jesse Baker and Robert Abraham combining on the stop. Well, the New England Patriots in front of the New York Jets, who come off the loss to Seattle in a turnover city performance. So Jets trailing New England. Kansas City in front of Washington in the first quarter. Green Bay over the Los Angeles Rams in the first. 3rd down and 7. Ball marked at the 32. And Stout fires deep. He was throwing it away. Calvin Sweeney was a good 15 yards away.
Well, that's all right. It's a good play. It saved him an opportunity to kick a field goal. Had he been trapped back there, it's like losing 2.5 points for your team, because they're about I'd say they're at least 2 to 1 to make it from inside the 50-yard line. Anderson's an excellent field goal kicker, and he saved him an opportunity. It's the sort of thing that a Stout might not have done last year when he had an opportunity to play. Now he looks at a situation. He knows the things he can and can't do. They fooled him defensively, but he got the ball away.
All right, Gary Anderson coming off a tough day last week with the 2 field goal blocks and the 1 extra point block. This from 49 yards away. He drills it. And it's good. Just made it. So Gary Anderson making it 3 of 5 on the season. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, with 6 minutes gone by in this first quarter, move in front by the score of 3-0. On the 49-yard field goal by Gary Anderson, Pittsburgh 3 and Houston 0. As Anderson gets set to kick to Carl Rochus and Herky Walls. This is Rochus to the 15, 25, 40. He's gone. Rochus will go all the way.
Barb, we were just about to say we've never seen a crowd so lethargic. It's almost as if they were in apathy when Archie threw that interception in the last drive. And you pointed out, I'll tell you what they need. They need one big break. Well, Carl Rochus just runs a kickoff back 96 yards, and the Astrodome has come to life again. This is the way you used to expect the Astrodome to be for a full 60 minutes when these two teams met. It's been a little quiet early, but this may pick them up.
Well, Lauren Taves had a shot, but Rochus with a beautiful move, and now he is home free. Carl Rochus, who I mentioned at the start, coming off a mediocre season. This is a guy who can break it.
All you have to do is run a couple of those, and you've had a fine season. Now, everybody knows that Rochus is an excellent return man, but that was a little bit beyond the call.
And here's Florian Kemp with John James putting down. And yes, this crowd has come to life. The explosion by the little guy from Texas A&M, Carl Rochus, to give Houston a 7-3 lead over Pittsburgh.
Generally, when there's a run of this length, there's a key spot in which there's a big block made. This time, Roaches goes in, knows he's coming out. Chris Dressel, a rookie kid from Stanford, and Avon Riley starting to give him a real good block at the point of attack. When Roaches gets started, he's very difficult to bring back. Runs through 3 tackles, and now they're ahead 7-3.
And it is officially credited as a 97-yard return. It's the first kickoff return for a touchdown against Pittsburgh since back in 1970.
Well, listen, these guys have had great special teams. They've had all the dimensions that make teams great, and they've got very high expectations. That just took a little wind out of their sails.
Line drive kick by Kemp, and Henry Odom got it to carry out of bounds to his right, so they'll kick over. Henry Odom and Tim Harris are back deep, and Florian Kemp penalized 5 yards. We'll do it again. Here's Kemp out of the University of Pennsylvania. Last year beat out the veteran Tony Fritsch. Soccer-style kicker. In fact, he played several years with Philadelphia of the North American Soccer League.
Problem with Florian is he doesn't get enough playing time.
Yes, that is accurate. Only 6 field goal attempts last year.
When your offense is moving to midfield instead of down the field, you're getting in a little trouble. And
he hit 4 of 6. Ed Biles, 51-year-old head coach of Houston. And he has made vast changes on his staff. New offensive coordinator Kay Dalton, new defensive coordinator Chuck Studley, new offensive line coach and Bill Walsh, new defensive backfield coach Kenny Houston, a former outstanding secondary man. Here's Odom to the 20. And steadying his way up to the 28-yard line. So the return by Henry Odom, the rookie from South Carolina State, 20-yard return. Chicago and New Orleans tied at 7 in the first quarter. And Baltimore playing well, lost a tough one last week to the Denver Broncos, and in front of Buffalo, in Buffalo, 3-0.
Well, they should have won the ball game. They definitely played better than Denver did. In fact, Denver's been able to get away with 2 ball games that they feel very lucky to have won, as we see San Francisco went out to a quick lead early.
Cliff Stout, the quarterback, Frank Pollard, Franco Harris are the running backs, and again it's Franco stretching out across the 30, Avon Riley. Not a big guy, has excellent upper body strength. Avon Riley, 6'3", 225.
It appears as though he's going to get a real good chance to use it too, Marv, because they've run to the right 4 out of 5 times so far. And talking to Dick Hoke, their backfield coach, he mentioned that they may do a lot of that today. So we may see Avon Riley in a lot of plays.
5-yard pickup for Harris. Second down, 5 at the 32. And now Frank Pollard with his first carry of the day, and he has the first down. Pollard, who comes off career highs of 20 carries and 90 yards last week, stopped by the free safety Mike Reinfeld.
Real good blocking at the point of attack by Steve Corson and Larry Brown to the right side, guard and tackle. You get this sort of a break, there are a lot of backs that can move with it, and Pollard's no exception.
And he picked up 11. Getting back to the linebacker, Riley, and this may tell us why there are problems defensively with Houston. Riley, the only Houston linebacker with better than average speed. One of several problems in the defensive unit. Here's Harris pulling his way out near midfield. So the Steelers finding success on the ground. Brazil and Abraham making the stop on number 32. And Franco led by a good block by the right guard, Steve Corson.
When you're talking about Riley's better than average speed, when you don't have good speed defensively, it's very difficult to do 2 things. 1, pursue well. 2, get after the passer. And any defense that is not getting on the passer consistently is always going to have a little bit of trouble.
One man they are high on is Robert Abraham, who had an outstanding game last week. He is inside linebacker on the right. Second down and 4. For Pittsburgh at the 49. And stop. That looked like a broken play. He was walloped out of bounds by Hartwig.
Well, it was a broken play. When both backs separate, you know, he turns around to look for a little help. I think he thought Franco was running the ball to the right. Franco didn't think so. So Stout tried to find the hole, almost got a first down.
Riley and Hartwig combining. It'll be a 3rd and 1. Now in Houston territory at the 48. Cliff Stout picking up his first ever win as a starter last week against the Green Bay Packers. And Harris for the first down. Running a little motion with Greg Hawthorne. And Franco picks it up, covered up by Hartwig.
You know, there are very few real long runs from scrimmage anymore, but generally they are in short yardage situations where all 10 men are giving themselves a go at trying to stop the play for no gain. This time Franco almost kept his balance. Had he'd have been in. Look at that.
This Pittsburgh offense going toward the run, although Stout very successful passing first down last week again to the ground. And Harris with a short pickup.
The problem with being able to run the ball effectively, Marv, is sometimes you keep trying to do it. Say you pick up 4 yards on first down, 4 yards on second down. You still got 3rd and 2, and that's no cinch. And people say, well, isn't it nice to be able to run the ball effectively? It is, but you get yourself in a trap because you never get a big play, and generally you go broke trying.
And with this new philosophy, the Steelers are not a big play club. Lynn Swann no longer has his address in the Pittsburgh telephone book. This is Frank Pollard. Frank Pollard, who can accelerate. First down and more. Mike Reinfeld running him out.
What did I say? You never get a big play. He just rips off about 18 yards. They don't have to do anything but run with the football as long as Pollard's moving that way. He gets 18 and a first down. You can see he was stopped at the line of scrimmage, and it looked like Greg Bingham's got him down. He just runs right out of his tackle. And Mike Reinfeld has all he can handle to get him out of bounds.
So Pittsburgh first down at the Houston 24. Steelers lead 3-0 on a 49-yard field goal by Anderson. 4:15 left in this first quarter. Pollard and Harris are the running backs. And it's Franco trying the right side. Down to the 20, picked up 4. It'll set up a 2nd and 6. Linebackers Abraham and Bingham on the tackle. This Pittsburgh club without Lynn Swann, a retired, Jack Ham retired, wide receiver Jim Smith, key player, along with 2 important offensive linemen, Ray Pinney and Tyrone McGriff, jumping to the USFL. So a different look.
They've had a little restructuring problem on their hands, but I think if one guy is capable of making it go fast, it's Chuck Noll.
And Pollard able to break a tackle at the line and pick up additional yardage.
Okay, they ran the ball pretty well on 2 plays. What do they have? 3rd down and 2. Now, there is no easy 3rd down and 2 play.
Chuck Noll has been starting Walter Abercrombie and then coming on with Frank Pollard, 85. Calvin Sweeney just checked in. Pollard off to an effective start.
I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him throw the ball. They've got their goal line defense in there right now. They just replaced 5 men. And Pittsburgh was forced to call a timeout because they didn't have a play that was ready for it. It was a good idea by Stout. He's wasted a couple of timeouts, but they were necessary.
So 3 minutes, 5 seconds left in this first quarter. Houston leading 7-3.
About all those Pittsburgh Steelers who have retired and moved and gone on, and one man we haven't heard from who hasn't retired, John Stallworth. He's been out at the left end throughout the ball game. It's just about time to hit him.
He missed last week because of a hamstring. It's a 3rd down and 3 for Pittsburgh at the Houston 17. Oilers lead at 7-3, and Stout with time. It was deflected. And a flag down. So first penalty of the day. Pass intended for Greg Hawthorne.
That's right, and Carter Hardwick got trapped. I don't know whether he was trying to tackle him or they just ran into each other at full speed, but it knocked both of them down.
Pass was deflected by the defense. No interference.
That's right. Chuck Noll is livid. But still, the rule states that if the ball is deflected, it wouldn't have been caught anyway, couldn't have been caught, it's no penalty.
So Ed Biles, a man who was very upset with the officiating last week, now able to look on from the sideline as Chuck Noll registers his complaint.
What he's trying to say is that it's defensive holding, and that doesn't have to be caught then. The ball doesn't have to get in your area. He mentioned that he was hooked. And if Carter Hardwick, in fact, did hook him, it wasn't pass interference. It was defensive holding. Let the people at home make their own judgment on the play. The Stout's trying to go to Greg Hawthorne. Carter Hardwick is the safety man coming in. All we saw were two people on the ground by the time our picture got there. So,
and rookie Bob Ham with the deflection. Here's Gary Anderson now attempting from 35. And Anderson is 2 for 2, connecting from 49 and now 35. Pittsburgh gets 3 out of the drive, and the Oilers now lead the Steelers by the score of 7-6. Furnished by the National Football League, and the Houston Oilers are hoping that Mike Renfro is able to get back into action shortly. He's out with hepatitis. In fact, both starting receivers from last season on injured reserve, Renfro and Harold Bailey, who's out with a twisted knee. Renfro did begin practicing this week for the first time. Bailey slow recovery, yet to work out. Steve Brown, number 24, on the near side, and Carl Roaches, who ran back the last kickoff for 97 yards. Back with Brown, and here is Anderson.
Well, they've been trying to kick the ball away from him, but they've been doing it unsuccessfully. And as Anderson falls down, he kicks it short to the 15.
So Larry Moriarty, one of the up men, with the return, but the Steelers feel, hey, that's better than letting Roaches get his hands on the ball. It's a 15-yard return, a rambling return by Moriarty. And Houston, with a 7-6 lead, will go from their 30-yard line. Ron Johnson making the stop on Moriarty. Earl Campbell and Larry Moriarty in the backfield out of the eye. Campbell, 3 carries, 7 yards thus far. Manning was picked off by Donnie Shell earlier this first quarter. And the first back coming through, Moriarty, 5th-round draft pick out of Notre Dame, who last week, early second quarter, went 80 yards on a draw play. John, the 3rd longest run in Houston Oilers history.
Well, I saw Earl Campbell run the longest one, that 91-yarder, and against Miami. And this kid, running 81 yards last week, had to run off about 2/3 of the quarter.
Yeah, he ran out of gas.
But he's a fine back. He can jump 38 inches from a standing jump. That's some kind of athlete. As Earl Campbell gets pulled down, now it's 3rd down and 6.
And we approach 2 minutes left in this first quarter. Mike Merriweather covering up on Earl Campbell, who is not happy. He's off to a slow start. He has not had success over the years against the Pittsburgh defense. In fact, in 11 games, he has averaged only 3 yards, has had only one 100-yard game against Pittsburgh.
He's played against some stout defenses.
As in Cliff. Spelled different. Pittsburgh 45. Ron Johnson on the tackle. It's a 20-yard pass play.
And that is what Archie Manning does best. He hits people on the run coming out of the backfield. We see Edwards, just a one-on-one situation. You shouldn't have any problem when you have to beat only a linebacker. He's got Brian Hinkle to beat. He does so, picks up a first down. And, you know, Pittsburgh doesn't allow a lot of people to run through their secondary freely, and they've done that on a few occasions today, and it's a bit surprising.
Stan Edwards in his 2nd season out of Michigan, setting up the first down at the Pittsburgh 45.
Play action.
And Manning with much time going sideline. Oh, a beautiful catch by Tim Smith.
That really was a beautiful catch.
Robin Cole, the linebacker, chasing him downfield. A 50-yard pass play.
Well, this was give Archie some credit here. This is a play-action pass call at just the right time. He comes back, has 3 receivers down the field, keeps 6 people in, maximum protection, gives them plenty of time. Tim Smith, about a 4'8", 40 man, does get deep in between the seam, makes a beautiful catch, and they've got 1st and 10 inside the 10.
And Tim Smith making it back after sitting out last week with a hamstring and a stomach virus. First quarter has come to a close, but when we get underway second quarter, Houston will have 1st and goal at the 9-yard line. After 1, it's the Oilers 7 and the Steelers 6. And our best wishes for a speedy recovery to Soapy Johnson. His son Bill moving over from the assistant seat into the hot seat until Soapy makes his return. Off the 50-yard pass play, Manning to Smith. 1st and goal at the 9 as we get underway second quarter. Pittsburgh and Houston from the Dome in Houston. And this is Campbell looking for room. Trying to bowl over number 41, Sam Washington. Mike Merriweather also involved. And Earl Campbell having difficulty getting off here in the first.
Well, you're going to have difficulty if you don't get help from your flankers when you're running the ball wide. Now, Tim Smith made an excellent catch of a long one a minute ago, but he was out here trying to get to Sam Washington, number 41, who makes the stop on Campbell. And Sam, by the way, is replacing Dwayne Woodruff, who is the regular cornerback, but has a touch of the flu, and they're trying to let him sit out the ball game. He is okay to play if they need him.
Big 0 for the Steelers. Cliff Stump in the first quarter. 2nd and goal from the 7. Manning off the fake. And Smith not able to hold on. He tried to come back for it.
Well, they just weren't in communication. Now, when you throw that pass, the one thing you have to be is really in perfect unity with your quarterback. Archie waited too long before he threw the ball. By that time, Smith was already open and closed up again, and the play never had a chance from its inception. Archie was just trying to get rid of the ball. You can see Oliver Luck trying to deliver those are signals, by the way. He's not edgy.
Looks like third base coach Oliver Luck, second year out of West Virginia, helping deliver the signals from the sideline. 3rd and goal at the 7. Interception, so Manning has been picked off for the 2nd time this afternoon. Earlier it was Donnie Shell, and now the free safety, Ron Johnson.
Ron Johnson is a lucky man because he came into a position with no man's land. I'm sure Archie did not see him. That ball should not have been thrown there. He had a man wide open in the end zone. Instead of picking up 6 points, they create a turnover. Ron Johnson will never have an easier pickoff than he just had right there. He was in no man's land. He didn't know where he's going right now. He's just following the quarterback's eyes. Archie's got 6 yards on either side of Johnson to hit number 81, Steve Bryant, for a touchdown. I don't think he saw Ron Johnson, to tell you the truth, and that's why you go from a shotgun so you can get better vision.
So Pittsburgh taking over and stopped to the ground again. Here's Harris trying to get outside. Run out by the left cornerback, Bill Kay. Last week, Ron Johnson recovered a fumble against Green Bay, only turnover in the game, and picks up the Steelers' 2nd interception of the day. Earlier, it was Donnie Shell. 3-yard advance for Harris. 2nd down and 7.
Again, the surprising statistic is the 0 yards passing by Stout, because Houston has not noted for a good pass rush. If you had an attack, I would think it would be throwing that ball around. If you get time, you ought to be able to hit it.
And Harris, 41 yards, 10 carries. Here's Stout off the roll. Robert Brazile in his 9th year out of Jackson State, a Pro Bowl selection last year to make it 7 consecutive seasons.
If I'm gonna bootleg, I would like to bootleg against somebody else other than Robert. But the reason Robert was in the play is simply it was a blitz. They had a 7-man rush trying to get to the passer. I guess they guessed that he was going to throw. That was Robert's lane. Hard to fool him when that happened.
And a very polite move by Brazile.
Wouldn't let him fall. He doesn't want him to get hurt, I guess.
Loss of 11 for Pittsburgh. 3rd down and about 18. Back at the 8. And this is Hawthorne. Hawthorne, primarily used these days as a wide receiver, carrying the football. Malcolm Taylor, Robert Brazile cutting him off. And the Houston defense holding the Pittsburgh offense. So Craig Colquitt will come on.
They did not try a drop back pass in that series. They're trying to get Hawthorne out wide, just give themselves a little bit better field position. They must not really think an awful lot of the Houston offense. It looks like they're trying to keep from making a mistake. And if they respected their offense, they would be trying to do something.
All right, Carl Rochus not allowed the return, but Houston will have excellent field possession. A 34-yard punt by Colquitt, obviously very aware of Rochus, who earlier returned the kickoff for 97 yards. The end result, Houston leading Pittsburgh 7-6. Well, there's an original sign. At the Astrodome in Houston.
It describes it pretty well, though.
Houston back to the offense. First down at the Pittsburgh 40-yard line. Houston leading at 7-6. And Campbell is stacked up. Picked up 2 on the play. That Houston offensive line with Doug France and Harvey Salem at the tackles. Mike Munchak, Bruce Matthews at the guards. 7-year man David Cotter at center. Pittsburgh defensively going without nose tackle Gary Dunn. He's out with a knee problem. Major loss. Dunn at 6 sacks last year. 2nd and 8 at the Steeler 38-yard line. 3 minutes in, 2nd quarter. Manning hit down back at the 40.
They had pretty good pressure. The down 3 got pretty good pressure on Archie. He didn't have a receiver open. Rather than throw it away, he elected to run the ball, and that's when you really take a beating. He's done that over the years. He is very late to throw the ball away. He waits to the last possible chance trying to get something good to happen. You saw real good pressure.
And it was number 95, John Goodman.
And Goodman had pretty good pressure on him.
Steelers with 11 sacks over their first 2 games. Last year they had 34, second best in the NFL. Sideline intended for Mike Holston. And Archie beginning to hear it from the crowd.
Well, I can understand that. Now, one of the 2 of them were wrong there because Holston didn't make his move till after Archie had thrown the ball and a good 3 or 4 steps took place. Arch must have thought he was running a short out at 12 yards. Holston must have thought it was an option pattern because he didn't make a turn till he got 16 yards down the field, and that's the way a lot of interceptions take place.
And this is John James getting set to punt from his 45-yard line. The route against Holston, tough to tell unless we get another look, is that he is slow to get off the line.
Well, he wasn't slow there. He was slow to get into his pattern, though.
All right, James trying to angle. And it carries in. Tim Harris let it go. It's a 40-yard punt, but it will come out to the 20. 11:26 remaining. First half, and off that 97-yard kickoff return by Rochus. Houston in front. All right, Cliff Stout, 0 for 3 thus far today. Had a good one last week, 12 for 19, 190 yards. Mixed his plays well. The victory now has a 1st and 10 at the 20, and his club trailing 7-6. Stout couldn't find a receiver and had to take it out.
Yes, sir, and I really think that Stout may be the effect of the situation that we discussed earlier. We're going to see he has plenty of time to throw because on every first down they have run the ball generally to their right. You can see that the Oiler defense stuffed the right side. Larry Brown, number 79, one of the great pass blockers in the game and one of the great tackles. Nobody gets by him very early. But Stout now couldn't find a receiver. I mentioned earlier that he got caught in a trap. They've been effective running the ball on first down, but you notice he's only thrown 3 passes, hasn't completed any, and they haven't put any points on the board because of it.
He did pick up 6, second down and 4. Here's Miller. Early pump at the 29 by Robert Abraham.
Man, you could hear, you almost sensed Larry Brown heard it. This is Frank Pollard going right over the right side. They've tried to do that consistently for no real effect that time. Gained about 2 yards.
There's Abraham's second year at North Carolina State. A starter last week over Darrell Hunt, who started the opener. Abraham came through with a solid game. 3rd and 1 at the 29 as they go double tight end. And Harris with the first down. Pittsburgh first down at their 32-yard line. 10.5 remaining in this first half. And Houston on top by the score of 7-6. Marv Albert, John Brody. Sellout crowd, Astrodome in Houston. 49-yard field goal by Gary Anderson. A 35-yard pop by Anderson for the Pittsburgh scoring. And Carl Rochus returning the kickoff for 97 yards.
There's old number 82, but he hasn't had a ball thrown his way yet.
That is John Stallworth flanked out. Off the play action, Stout sideline, and it is completed to old number 82.
Listen, anytime you have him in your huddle, you'd like to be able to get the ball to him, and I'm sure that he liked the play sent in. John Stallworth can still run those patterns. A real top pattern runner. Gets that defensive cornerback turned around, going down the field. When he did make his move, you saw no one else in the picture. All quarterbacks can hit that pattern. Well thrown ball by Stout. As you can see, he's there. Plenty of time. Tillis had no play.
And he picked up 12. First down at the 44. Harris and Abercrombie now are the running backs. Deep drop by Stout, and he's throwing low. Mike Reinfeldt, number 37, covering on the play.
Excellent defensive play. Mike had to get started quick to be in a position to cover that ball. When you try to beat the seam, you try to break right in between the cornerback and the free safety. This is Mike Reinfeldt all the way. Good center field play. Had the ball from the time it was thrown. It was a certain touchdown if he didn't get back there.
It'll be a 2nd and 10 at the 44. Mike Reinfeldt, who had an interception against the Raiders last week. Coach on the field, type player, in his 8th year out of Wisconsin. The first time that Stout
He's coming, safety blitz.
has attempted long ball. Here they come, and it's Abercrombie able to break a tackle, pick up a couple of extra. Bill Kay, the left cornerback, and Avon Riley combining on the stop. Walter Abercrombie, last year Pittsburgh's #1 draft pick, missed most of the season with a knee injury. That after a very impressive preseason.
Well, Abercrombie made a pretty good play there just to get out of a trap because they had a safety blitz on. That's 8 people coming after the quarterback. They all had a lane. For him to be able to get back to the line of scrimmage was a pretty good deal.
Walter would like to have a good one. He's from Waco, Texas. Still lives in Waco. Went to school at Baylor. There are 4 products of Baylor on the Pittsburgh roster. 3rd down, 7. And 7 got a piece of it intended for Sweeney. Was covered by Huntley. And a hand for the Houston defense.
Got nowhere to go with the ball. You can see Stout's a little frustrated. He had no one open. He didn't have it. He had plenty of time. He's had plenty of time on 3 or 4 occasions, but nowhere to go. Good defensive secondary play.
And a slow start for Cliff Stout, and the Pittsburgh Steelers trailing here 7-6 with 5.5 gone by in the second quarter. Here's Colquitt. From his 35. And Rochus not able to get to it. Now does. Takes him to 10. But excellent coverage this time as they swarm.
Now the game's heating up a little. It takes something like that, I guess, to get these fans as excited as they were accustomed to being.
We have not had a penalty call to this point, and we'll hear from the officials when we come back following this timeout.
Marv, the crowd got a little concerned. As you mentioned, there hadn't been any penalties called yet because they thought John Rogers, second-year tight end out of Louisiana Tech, handled poor old Carl a little too strongly, but nothing was called.
And so it is 1st and 10 for Houston. 13-yard line. Crowd getting on the officials. second effort by Earl Campbell. Right here, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Channel 12 in Erie, WICU TV.
Marv Albert, John Brody, Astrodome, Houston, Texas. Earl Campbell has just picked up 7, second down and 3 for Houston at the 20-yard line. Archie Manning calling it out. Off the short set. Oh, bullet for Steve Bryant, second-year man out of Purdue. And a first down for Houston. Mel Blount, the right cornerback.
They tried it on a very tough man. You know, it's funny, you look in films and you say, hey, he was beaten twice last week. Let's try him. Well, don't try him too often, because this man got beat by Jim Lofton, who's something else again twice for long bombs. But he'll come back the next week and probably pick off 3. So that's the first time they've tried him today, and they were effective.
And Bryant picked up 14 yards, first down at the 35-yard line. And here's Campbell. Second effort. Earl looking sharper, cutting right, then left, and darting to the 40.
Beautiful cutback. His trait is to run over defensive people, and that time he ran underneath a couple and found a crack and picked up about 6. You see New Orleans having another pretty good game. They've come up with a pretty good football team down there, and when we think about the fact that they have never been better than 500, I think this will be their year.
Yeah, I think Bum has them in the right direction. Baltimore now leading Buffalo 6-0 in the first. And San Francisco and St. Louis are tied at 7. First quarter, second down and 5 at the 40. And again, Campbell short of the first down. So Manning keeping it on the ground. Nose tackle Edmund Nelson on the stop. Nelson's second year out of Auburn, a starter last week, replacing the injured Gary Dunn. Ed Biles, head coach of the Houston Oilers, desperately looking for a victory. The last Houston win against Seattle here in Houston last September the 19th.
That's a long time.
Celebrating an anniversary.
People need a little success.
3rd and 1 at the 44. Harry Moriarty has the first down. Moriarty very strong. In fact, he can bench press, get this, John, 470 pounds. And as a youngster, a finalist. You entered this as a youth, the Mr. Teenage California Bodybuilding Contest.
Yeah, I don't think I ever was a teenager. Anyway, you take a look at Moriarty. He is the type of back that you like to have in complement with Campbell. He can do a lot of things, and he's an excellent blocker.
He picked up the first down at the 47. Campbell. Another first down, and certainly things turning for the Oilers.
Well, listen, the Oilers have had an opportunity to run Pittsburgh right out of the stadium early, and except for 2 interceptions, they could have 14 more points on the board. So they've been down here before and have not capitalized on it the way they should. Donnie Shell has not been in the action the way you are accustomed to seeing him. He has not tried any safety blitzes today, but this time he has to make a fine play to keep Earl from going into the end zone.
Campbell picked up 12. 36 yards, 12 carries. Campbell got off to the slow start, but coming on here in the second quarter. First down at the Pittsburgh 41.
Look out.
Oh, Manning picked off for the third time today. Sam Washington in his second year out of Mississippi Valley State. So Manning's drive is stopped again, and Archie is hearing it from the crowd.
Well, I'll tell you, I've seen some passes. I've seen over the years Archie throw some interceptions that were tipped when he had a lot of pressure on him for different reasons. But I've seen him throw 2-3 interceptions today, all of them that are on him. I mean, he should never have thrown that ball. Even if he didn't see Sam Washington out of the corner of his eye, he knows somebody's there.
Number 8, face mask.
Then he compounded it with a little face mask penalty of his own, but it did keep him from making a touchdown. But those are 3 interceptions that I would not expect Archie Manning to be throwing. He throws it right into the teeth of his own defense. Sam Washington is rolling up. picks the ball off, and he is off and running down to the 30-yard line.
So he won 26 yards, third intercept of the day. Pittsburgh first down at the Houston 30-yard line, and Cliff Stout wants to talk it over. We just saw referee Jim Tunney get his first on-camera exposure of the day, the first penalty of the ball game, that face mask on Archie Manning.
And if you had a game where you'd predict that, I don't think it would be Houston and Pittsburgh.
Who was it who said at the start this should be a physical matchup? That was me, John.
Well, it has been, Marvin, in defense of what you said. Neither team has been very effective throwing the ball, really, and as a result, the score is low. But this has so far been a game of mistakes.
All right, next Sunday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, NFL 83 will start the day with a close-up look at San Diego's outstanding tight end Kellen Winslow. Then regional action, Steve Brogan and his Patriots taking on these Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati Bengals interconference battle with the Tampa Bay Bucks, Kansas City at Miami, Houston at Buffalo, Marcus Allen and the Los Angeles Raiders going against the Denver Broncos, and John Elway at Mile High in Denver, and the Cleveland Browns and the San Diego Chargers. A lot of good ball games. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. 5:07 left, first half. It has not been a pleasant day for Manning.
Well, I've seen Archie looks down right now, and he looked down before the ball game. It's like when you don't get any success, man, you just feel like you're knocking your head against a stone wall, and that's what it looks like out there.
Pittsburgh first down at the Houston 30-yard line. Here's Pollard inside the 25. Frank Pollard off to a good start, and he is another Texas man from Meridian, Texas, in his fourth season out of Baylor. Malcolm Taylor, Robert Brazil combined to stop Pollard. 5-yard advance, second down and 5. Houston leading at 7-6. Big play, Carl Roach's 97-yard kickoff return. 2 field goals by Gary Anderson of Pittsburgh, and that has been it. Franco alone, deep back. Long count. And Stout in the front into the foul over. Cliff Stout down to the 12-yard line. Greg Bingham covering up for Houston.
And Willie Tullis almost got a penalty called on himself because he tried to make a hit on Stout. Stout took the only avenue that was open to him. Good pass protection. Got all the defensive pursuit out around him. When he took off to run underneath Brazil, here comes Tullis. Came just a little late, but never did get a piece.
So Cliff Stout doing it on the ground. Picked up 13.
Not bad, but it's not what you'd like to do. You know, he's 6'5" and can run, so you're talking about an awfully good athlete.
First down at the Houston 12. Pollard and Harris, the running backs. Here's Franco. Picked up a couple. Malcolm Taylor, the left defensive end, number 70. There he is. Out of Tennessee State. Making the stop. It sets up a second down and 8 with 3:15 left in this first half. Number 27, Greg Hawthorne, is back, replacing Pollard. So again, Steelers will go with the single back. Although Hawthorne can't play.
Yeah, he can play.
Let's see. Yeah, he's lined up as a setback to the right of Harris. Covered by Avon Riley.
Well, you just don't find many linebackers that can cover a back. Now, Hawthorne was on a little pattern. The play actually gave Stout enough time to get it off. This is a safety blitz. You see number 37, he's coming out to the right. He's got to cover the tight end. Hawthorne is one-on-one against the linebacker, Avon Riley. Made a good coverage. Certain touchdown dropped.
It is third down and 8 at the Houston 10. 2:47 left, first half. Stout 1 for 7.
Yeah, but the other side's thrown 3 intercepts, so
take your pick.
Yep.
And a timeout has been called.
Well, that's That's the plus point about playing at home. This crowd has come alive. Their defense is playing superbly under difficult conditions to be still in the ball game, and ahead by 1 point after 3 interceptions in 1 half is very rare indeed.
There's the backup quarterback, Mark Malone. Missed all last season, rehabilitating from knee surgery. Has not played since third game of preseason, but he's the man behind Stout, what with Terry Bradshaw out indefinitely. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Houston Oilers and the National Football League is prohibited.
You saw Malone down there. He and Stout and Bradshaw. They don't let them play quarterback in Pittsburgh unless they're 6'4" or 5" and weigh about 220.
That's right. Let's see. Malone wants 6'4", 223. Yes.
Stout 6'5", about the same. And Bradshaw is no short one.
Bradshaw still undergoing therapy on his arm. Started throwing too quickly a couple of times, and it's hurt him. Third down 8, and Stout for the end, short of the end zone. A diving catch by Stallworth, but he's down.
Boy, I tell you, that was marginal. You wonder whether or not there was any contact made by the cornerback. Stallworth made an excellent grab. Expected contact after he caught the ball. Was a little surprised he didn't feel any. And the whistle had blown. Let's see.
And it's near the first down marker.
There's contact. I don't know if it's a first down or not. It doesn't look like it from here, but it is very, very close.
So they will check it out, and it will be either 4th and inches or a 1st and goal. So 4th down play coming up for Pittsburgh. They lead it, they trail by the score of 7-6.
They're having a go at it. You can bet they're too close. They don't want to let this opportunity get away without getting 6 on the boards. If they take 3, it's almost like conceding a loss down there.
John Rogers, the other tight end, has checked in. The crowd looking to rev up the Houston defense. And Houston calling for time.
They couldn't get their short yardage defense on the field properly. Now they're over on the sideline. That's Chuck Studley, the fellow with the curly hair in the blue shirt to the right. Excellent defensive coordinator. Came here from San Francisco. He was their coordinator when they won the Super Bowl. Talking to him, he said, I think we're playing good enough defense to really have a winning football team. Obviously, we don't have a great pass rush, but he says we've got some outstanding young personnel. They're working real hard. We create turnovers, and I guess they created 5 last week, and it still wasn't quite enough. He said, we've got to get some offense.
Yeah, last week, offense was invisible, and they played without Earl Campbell. While the Pittsburgh Steelers, after losing to Denver opening day 14-10, committing 7 turnovers last Sunday, beat the Packers 25-21. In Green Bay, did not commit a turnover and just controlled the football. 59 running plays, second highest total that a Chuck Noll team has ever accumulated.
Well, it's a quarterback's dream when you have a day like that. Sometimes you do have a day and you expect that it can happen more often than it can, and you continue to try, and as a result sometimes you come up broke. I think it might be part of the fact they haven't scored a lot of points today. They're still trying to run the ball. They're doing all right, but they haven't put any points on the board. Let's see what happens here.
4th and about a half yard. Hawthorne in motion, and here's Harris diving. He has the first down. Let's say Houston players don't think so.
Well, I don't know. They must not be watching. He must not have carried the ball with him then, because he was certainly over the first down line.
And they're calling for the yardsticks.
If that's not a first down, the yardsticks are wrong.
Although it is tough from our angle. But it appeared that he did pick it up. Let's see.
By about 2 feet.
Robert Brazile should get a closer look. Yeah, easy first down. Brazile checking it out.
You take a look. Now, I like to have Franco finding the holes for me down there in that short yardage area. He knows what he has to get. He sticks his head down and does a fine job of picking up the yardage.
Pittsburgh first and goal at the 2:25 remaining first half. And Houston leading 7-6. Harris and Pollard, the running backs. Hawthorne in motion. Now this is Pollard. He tried to plow through, but it was closed.
He's getting this crowd pumped up right now. If it takes them 3 or 4 downs to score, or if they don't score a touchdown, you'll see this Astrodome come alive.
Avon Riley and Greg Bingham making the stop, lost nearly a yard. It'll be a second and goal at the 3. And now the 2-minute warning. So the timeout, and it's the Houston Oilers 7 and the Pittsburgh Steelers 6. And we welcome you back to the Astrodome in Houston. Crowd of close to 50,000. It is a sellout for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Houston Oilers. Along with John Brody, I'm Mark Halbert. Houston leading at 7-6. Crowd is up, chanting for their defense. Second and goal at the 3 for Pittsburgh. And Stout on the rollout. Stout looking to take it in. Cannot. Number 51, the backup linebacker, Ted Thompson on the tackle.
Well, he has been there for a long time, and if you're going to fool somebody, I think you're going to have to try somebody besides Ted Thompson. He's been there for a number of years, hard to fool, good quickness. Actually, because of his quickness, he runs Stout out of bounds for about a 1-yard gain. Now it's 3rd and 2, and it gets tougher down there. I don't think you'll see him running that ball. They're going to, in fact, they're putting in all their linebackers, the fellas that cover those running backs out of the backfield. So
Steelers to the line, led by Mike Webster. 3rd and goal at the 2, and this crowd has come alive. Hawthorne in motion. And Stout tries the right side. He can't turn. Robert Abraham is there. And Chuck Noll says, I've had enough. Bring in the field goal.
Well, he's got to now. That's 3 real good defensive plays by linebackers and down here inside the 10-yard line. Abraham's got better speed than Stout, and he just shows it right here. Stout had a little bit the angle, looked like he might get to the end zone. Abraham just outran him.
This will be a short attempt by Anderson, a 20-yard attempt. Gary Anderson is 2 for 2, bouncing back from last week. 49 and 35-yard field goals earlier. So make it 3 for 3 for Anderson. And Pittsburgh has moved in front by the score of 9-7. But the reaction is for the Houston defensive effort.
Well, they've played great.
So Gary Anderson has equaled his professional record. The most field goals in one game. Gary, cut by Buffalo last year, signed by Pittsburgh from South Africa. Played his college ball at Syracuse. 1:45 remaining in the first half. And since that 97-yard kickoff return by Carl Rochus, everything kicked in his direction is an adventure.
Well, you see, they've been playing that I formation back there, Marv, where they have both backs standing in the middle of the field. Now they don't do that, but they do let anything Rochus can get a hold of, they let him take.
Here's Anderson with the approach. And keeping it away from Rochus. Steve Brown, 20. To the 25-yard line. Steve Brown, rookie from Oregon, a 3rd-round draft pick. On the return, stopped by Ron Johnson. So Houston will go to work with 1:40 remaining in this first half. Oilers have had several drive stop off interceptions. Shell, Johnson, and Washington have come up with interceptions. So here's Archie Manning with a backfield of Stan Edwards and Donnie Kraft. First appearance for Kraft. Looking that way is Manning. He was looking for Kraft. Now in trouble. And it is completed to Holston. Keith Willis in pursuit of Archie Manning. And somehow Archie able to find wide receiver Mike Holston.
Well, he threw it about the only place he could, down low, and Holston came up with a fine grab. Actually, it didn't appear as if anybody had tackled him, and when he finally realized that fact, he tried to get up and run.
Bart picked up 5. Hurry-up offense for Houston. He picked off by the Steelers again. It's Lauren Taves. Tim Smith had it deflect off his hand, and that, let's see. What? Let's say not an interception.
They're saying it was a completion because Eddie's trying to get the defense off the field there, so they're kind of accustomed to running on the field after their passes are thrown. That one they were given a completion on, and I can understand Taves being upset.
The ball was caught simultaneously, offense and defense. Ball belongs to the offense. First out.
All right, so what we saw was after the fact. They ruled it a completed pass.
What happened is it looked like Taves had it. He started bobbling it, and as he grabbed a hold of it, both of them maintained control. We may be able to see it in the picture. We can, as you see, it's coming up. It isn't in control. Holston came by and actually got a hold of it at the same time Taves did, and that is a reception.
So Smith and Holston involved, and it's Holston coming up with the ball. And it's a first down at midfield. Less than a minute left, first half. And Manning in trouble again. Manning unleashing. He threw a bullet that is incomplete. Intended for Steve Bryant. Well, we're seeing plenty of action here in the final minute.
Well, now this is the time when you have to fire the ball. Everybody knows you're throwing. Those defensive linemen get into their starting blocks and come after you. Now we're seeing the potential pass rush that Pittsburgh has really not used so far in the first half. They're getting after Archie now, forcing him to do things he doesn't want to.
And on that play, we saw Keith Gary, number 92. Began his professional career with Montreal after he was Montreal in the Canadian Football League after he was a number 1 by Pittsburgh in '81. Second down and 10, midfield. Manning stepping up. And that was nearly trouble for Houston. Tim Smith, 1-on-3, the intended receiver.
Well, I tell you, when you throw the ball in the middle of the field like that, and Tim Smith had blinders on, he was going after that ball, didn't look at any of the secondary. It's really a tough thing to do for a receiver. He has excellent attention on the ball. If there is any sort of weakness, it's his speed, and that's about all you can state. He's a 4'7", 4'8" receiver, so he's got to find the holes.
So third down and 10. And as you see, 44 seconds left in the first half. Look out. Oh, that was really light. Hit by Kelly and recovered by the Steelers.
And they've still got 36 seconds left. Now, you talk about putting your defense up against it. That's the 4th turnover. All of them on Archie. He never did look to the back. You have to give your receivers time to make their break, but there was no one open. It's a little too much time. You're going to get hit 80% of the time when you take over 4 seconds, as he did there. Good hustle gets them a turnover.
And Jack Lambert covered up on the fumble. Keith Gary, who has tremendous lateral speed across the field. He's had sacks his last 4 games going into today. That includes 2 in preseason.
Well, you can tell he's got that real good speed.
All right, first down for Pittsburgh. And Stout standing in there. And ripping it. Keith Bostic on the coverage of Benny Cunningham. Pass intended for the tight end, Cunningham. And things beginning to get rough.
Well, you see both teams trying to make big plays.
Pass interference, defense, number 25, first down.
And it is the rookie from Michigan, Keith Bostic, called for the interference. A critical penalty with 30 seconds remaining. Pittsburgh will have a first down at the Houston 17. It's a 23-yard penalty.
They're a little confused defensively right now. They could get a man come wide open.
And Stout able to fire one to Hawthorne, who forces his way down to the 5.
And a first down. They've still got 16 seconds left.
And the clock is running down. First and goal at the 5. And here's Stout. It is batted down. Ted Thompson, who's made 2 significant plays here in the second quarter. That stops the clock with 5 seconds remaining in the half.
Looks like Anderson's going to get to extend his best ever streak. Little chip shot. He's been 3 for 3. This should be 4 for 4. And the defense has actually played superb for Houston, but they're going to find themselves down by 5, it appears.
And this is a 23-yard attempt. And Anderson is 4 out of 4 on the day. So the Steelers move in front by the score of 12-7. The scoreboard clock has 1 second remaining in the half, which would mean a kickoff. Gary Anderson hitting from 23, from 20, from 35, and from 49. And that ties a Pittsburgh Steelers team record. 4 field goals in one game, and we are only 1 half complete.
If Houston keeps playing defense the way they are, I could conceivably see 7 or 8 being kicked.
So Anderson will tee it up. Key play on that drive. The reception and then the pulling move by Hawthorne, which shows why he is effective as a receiver. He's 6'2", 225, and really has the height and weight advantage over some of those secondary.
He's kind of in no man's land. He's got the real long strides, and it didn't turn out for him as a running back. He seems to be playing very well as a receiver, and he showed you why there.
Mike McCloskey, an up man, making the catch on the kickoff as this first half concludes. So that's it for the first half in Houston. It's Pittsburgh 12 and Houston 7. The story in the first half, with Pittsburgh in front by the score of 12-7. Steelers with the combination of Franco Harris and Frank Pollard doing it on the ground. And Cliff Stout only 3 for 10, 29 yards. Archie Manning 6 out of 14 and intercepted 3 times. Time of possession has been even. The Houston defense, as we mentioned, has done an excellent job. As a result, the Pittsburgh offense has been Gary Anderson. 4 field goals by Anderson, which ties him for most field goals in a game for the Pittsburgh Steelers, putting him alongside Matt Barr, Roy Gerela, and Lou Michaels. And Anderson still has a second half to go. Well, Campbell off to a slow start, showed some signs early portion second quarter, but 37 yards, 11 carries, so the Steelers have held him in check.
Well, it's not up to, I think, neither one of those statistics is up to their standards. And Franco Harris, who has over 11,000 yards, certainly has had many better days. But they have given him the ball enough to where he's the type of back who, when they give it to him 10 to 13 times and a half, and they start featuring him, he gets better as the game progresses. So in the second half, I expect some of the holes that weren't there early to be there. But remember, Houston has played superb defense under not the best of conditions, and for them to continue doing that is going to be very tough.
Last week, Harris with 78 yards in the first half got off to the fast start and ran for 118 to become only the 3rd player in NFL history to reach 11,000. So he is now trailing O.J. Simpson and Jim Brown, who is number 1 at 12,312.
So let's remember, he did it in 9 years.
Right. Harris some 1,200 yards away. Florian Kempf will kick it off to the Pittsburgh Steelers combination of Henry Odom on the near side and Tim Harris on the far side. Marv Albert, John Brody from the Astrodome in Houston. And the kickoff by Kempf. This is Harris. And it cost. Sometimes that can work in your favor. It slows down the coverage, but it did not.
You see, you get their flow a little cracked, and maybe they put a little hole in some part of the defense. I've seen a lot of very long kickoff runs this way. This did not happen to be one of them. Excellent coverage by the kickoff team. Keeps the ball inside the 20-yard line. That's very tough to do nowadays. And we pick up where we left off.
12-yard return by Harris. And Pittsburgh first down inside the 15. Stout, the quarterback. Franco Harris, the lone deep back. And lots of motion. Penalty flag for only the second time today. We had just one penalty call, an interference call in the first half.
And nothing really very dramatic. It didn't affect anything. This one may, however.
Ball start, number 66, still first down.
I think Jim Tunney handles the game as well as anybody as an official, and I don't think he's overlooking anything. I think it's just the fact that they played a very clean football game.
It'll be a 1st and 15. Goes as an incomplete as Pollard was hit by Brazil.
Boy, does he move. When he makes a decision, he just explodes. This is a very difficult thing for a linebacker to do, but when he reads a screen pass, he sees that tackle leave, and he sees it quick enough he can beat the tackle to the play. That's exactly what he did. They tried to get their left tackle right out there leading the play, and couldn't get him in front of anybody.
Well, they called it a completed pass, and then the recovery on the hit. So it's a second down and 18. Benny Cunningham stopped by Robert Abraham, and it sets up a 3rd and 5. So good pickup as the tight end Cunningham was able to get down and picked up 13.
In Stout's defense, it's really the first time I've seen anybody wide open all day for Pittsburgh. You're generally accustomed to seeing a lot of wide receivers for Pittsburgh running through the secondary wide open, but I haven't seen it today.
Third down 5 at the 20. And the first down picked up by Greg Hawthorne. That was a bullet, and Hawthorne did a juggle, but able to hang on as he was hit by the combination of Kay and Hartwig.
And this ball was going to Hawthorne the whole time. A good wide shot shows you they're trying to in and out Hawthorne. Number 27 right at the top of your screen. Both linebackers played it just a little too deep, couldn't react. They got the first.
First down at the 28-yard line. Harris and Pollard are the running backs. And here's Pollard. So Houston continues to provide problems for Pittsburgh. Bingham and Abraham combining a much maligned Houston defense, last in the NFL last season, and showing no signs of a huge turnaround over the first 2 games and through preseason this year.
They're playing well now, and I really think they played pretty well last week against the Raiders. They didn't, 20 points was not indicative of the way they played. Their offense turned the ball over a lot, and that's the same way it's going today.
They did come up with some big plays, forcing 4 turnovers. And again, the tight end Cunningham with Abraham and Bingham making the stop. And It is short.
I don't know about that,
Let's
Marv.
see.
It looks
No,
like
they-
it is a first down
Yes,
to me.
they apparently moving up on the forward progress. Benny Cunningham, in his 8th season out of Clemson, caught a 17-yard touchdown pass in the game against Houston last year, and waiting to see if he did pick up the first down. Yes, he did.
It's amazing how many of those guesstimates that the officials have to make come right down to the wire.
And we've had a couple of close calls here today, particularly down near the goal line. Pittsburgh Steelers 1 up and 1 down. Lost to Denver opening day last week. And Green Bay beat the Packers 25-21. And right here leading Houston 12-7. Stout looking sideline. Alvin Sweeney broke a tackle, and Bill Kay able to recover to get him around the ankle.
It's okay. He missed him the first time, got him the second time. If you give any of those defensive backs enough chances, they'll get you. But it's an excellent pattern run by Sweeney. Well thrown ball by Stout. It's the old vintage Steelers. 15, 18-yard comebacks, and we haven't seen very many of them today.
18-yard pass play, first down at the 47 for Pittsburgh. 4 minutes gone by, third quarter. Off the play action. Much time, and Stout fires. Pass intended for John Stallworth, Hartwig, and Tullis providing the coverage.
Well, Cliffs have a little trouble right now getting anything generated, as we see that New England, the Patriots aren't having the same problem. 16-13 over the Jets.
Washington going in with 3 straight games against AFC opponents and trailing Kansas City in the third. Well, last year in Milwaukee, the Rams moved in front 23-zip, then blew it, and were beaten. They're tied at 17 in the third. And at halftime, Bears and Saints are even at 10. Stout is 8 for 16, 72 yards, has a second down and 10. Franco running well and has the first down. Robert Abraham, Greg Bingham tripping him up.
He's a little hot. He thought he had a chance to break that one for some real good yardage, and a back of his caliber generally does when he's given this much room. He makes a little stutter step to get by the linebacker at 5 yards down the field, but didn't keep his feet, but still picked up a first.
11 yards for Harris, first down at the Houston 36-yard line. Steelers lead it 12-7. 4 field goals by Gary Anderson. The Houston touchdown, the 97-yard kickoff return by Carl Roches. Again, play action, and Stout just fires it down. It looked to be a mix-up as John Stallworth was out at the 20. He looked to be the intended receiver.
I think very simply that that Stallworth ran the pattern that Stout expected him to, but he had to throw the ball before he wanted. And it looks like a mix-up on their patterns, but I really think that the Stout could not wait for Stallworth to get all the way down and run a comeback. Those 15, 16-yard comebacks do take about 3.5 seconds to get off.
And Stallworth involved with the cornerback, Willie Tullis. So second down and 10 at the 36. Harris 60 yards on 14 carries. Stout to the air again. Leaping catch for the first down by Cunningham. So Cunningham and Stout beginning to click. Hartwig on the tackle.
Well, it's a tough play for any safety man. Watch 54, Greg Bingham, 56, Abraham. They're both trying to put pressure on the quarterback. You see, when you give up your linebackers to try and get to the quarterback, you leave your defensive backs in one-on-one coverage on Cunningham. That's a tough chore to handle, and they don't.
And it's a 13-yard reception for Benny Cunningham. First down at the Houston 23. An official timeout has been indicated. 9.5 minutes remaining in this third quarter. And they are resetting the clock.
By far the best drive for the Steelers all day long too. And Marv, I think you'll notice it's set up by the throwing that they're doing on 1st and 10. Play action passes, short passes, sometimes on 2nd or 3rd. They threw a couple balls through all the way down over the seams of the defense. It loosens the whole act up a little. They've had a lot more success.
Stout was successful throwing 1st down last week, and looks to do it again. Pollard, nice spin, good balance, and close to the 1st down marker. Well, Frank Pollard, who can do it coming out of the backfield, hit down by Brazile and Riley.
It surprises me that his hands and his attention on catching the football are as good as they are, because this is a very hard thing to do, and for a back to run through the secondary, keeping his attention on where the ball is being thrown is not only hard, but to keep your hands on the football is doubly tough. He picks up what appears to be, he's got about a yard to go, I guess, huh? 2nd down and about 1.
Picked up 9 down at the 14-yard line. Good-looking drive here by Pittsburgh. 8.5 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Here's Harris, and he has the 1st down. And this is the type of game that the Steelers played last week, maintaining possession. And now Stout mixing them up very well and succeeding both on the ground and through the air.
This is where they've had their problem. In the 1st half, they had to settle for field goals 4 times. They're down in that area again. Let's see what happens. I predict he'll put the ball in the air on 1st down, though.
Well, he has met with success. 1st down at the 11. Under 8 remaining. 3rd quarter. Up, back to the ground for Harris. Churning down to the 5-yard line. Abraham and Brazile combining. Houston defensively up front with Malcolm Taylor, Mike Stensrud, Jesse Baker. Linebackers, Riley, Bingham, Abraham, and Brazile.
Yeah, but because they've been throwing the ball effectively, they're able to put a trap in there that Franco could get through. If you're not trying to get to the passer, you're not going to be vulnerable to be trapped. That time they were trying to get after Stout. He'd thrown the ball on 1st down 3 or 4 times. As a result, they got beat doing what they were doing well.
And again, Harris. And Harris takes it over. Franco Harris capping off the well-executed drive upfield.
He still runs like he's about 22 years old, Marv. It's amazing that a man can keep himself in that kind of condition over the years of punishment that he's had to take. He's still quick getting off the ball. He's super finding that hole down by the goal line. And as evidenced, he's still got it.
So Franco from 5.5 out, 1st touchdown of the day for Pittsburgh. And now Gary Anderson looks to add the extra point. And the Pittsburgh Steelers now lead the Houston Oilers by the score of 19-7. 7 minutes, 7 seconds left. 3rd quarter at the Dome in Houston. Back in Houston, today's game is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, engineered like no other car in the world. By Heineken, come to think of it, I'll have a Heineken. And by Honda, the world's largest manufacturer of motorcycles and ATC 3-wheelers. Follow the leader, he's on a Honda. Pittsburgh Steelers consuming nearly 8 minutes of this 3rd quarter, capping it off with Franco Harris taking it in from 6 yards away. The kickoff by Anderson, and here is Carl Rufus to the 25, through the top, and Rufus all the way down to the 45-yard line. Lauren Taves forced him out.
Problem is when your offense is only your return man, the best you can do is tie.
A 32-yard return by Roaches, who ripped one off for 97 earlier. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Channel 12 in Erie, WICU TV.
Marv Albert with John Brody. 7 minutes remaining, 3rd quarter. And Pittsburgh leading Houston 19-7. Houston 1st down at their 40 off the run back by Roaches. Off the play action, Manning able to complete for the 1st down. Tim Smith hooking on.
Runs very good patterns. Ran one then. Good play action pass. When you have Earl Campbell running there, your linebackers are going to be held by the play action. First time we've seen it, however, picks up a first down, and something good has to happen for Houston in a hurry if they're going to get back in this ball game.
13-yard advance. Pittsburgh scoring drive. 13 plays, 90 yards. Franco Harris scoring a touchdown in each of the first 3 games of this 1983 season. And here's Campbell. Try to dart for extra yardage. Gets to the 45. And a 3-yard advance, so second down and 7. It has not been an overpowering game for Earl Campbell, making it back after the sprained left knee kept him out last week. Opening day against Green Bay, he had 123 yards, averaging 4.5, scored 3 touchdowns.
It's easy. When you have a few holes, you can run for a few more yards. I haven't seen many gaps today.
Speculating at halftime that we might see Gifford Nielsen, and I'm wondering if Ed Biles is saying, well, let's just check out this series and we'll see what happens.
Well, I don't know. It's Ed's decision to make, and my viewpoint has already been expressed. I don't need to say any more. I think Archie's been a wonderful quarterback. He's not playing well today, and I think whenever you're not playing well, you should, if you're going to take a chance, if you're going to have a chance to win, you better make a change.
Nielsen has not warmed up. Saw him a moment ago with the chart. Third down play for Houston. Oh. For Holston, but a big hit.
Archie's hurt. Well, he's getting up, but he really took a lick. It was a safety blitz. He got hit just as he started to throw the ball, and you can see Lambert asking him if he's all right. Take a look here. There's nobody picking up number 58, and that is a very bad idea indeed. Archie, to even throw this ball and get it off, it was a tremendous effort. Holston could have caught the ball. Had he done so, he'd have run it in for a touchdown.
In the first half, Manning was jarred by Keith Gary. This is Tim Harris back at his 10, awaiting the John James punt. 5.5 left in this third quarter. And James looking to angle. But it skips in. And Pittsburgh will take over at its 20, a 45-yard punt by James. 5 minutes, 18 seconds remaining, third quarter. And we'll be back in just a moment. Stick him on his hand there?
Well, how many times does it happen when a team's going bad? Look at this. Tullis has an excellent chance to pick the ball off in his hands and run it in. Instead, he tries to handle it. Actually helps Stallworth with the reception. That is very frustrating for a quarterback because you don't get very many opportunities like that. He read the play the whole way, had the ball on the dead run for 6, and lets it go.
Nice hand-eye coordination.
Oh, there's nobody ever doubted that.
13-yard advance. Now here's Harris advancing for 3 more. Greg Bingham tripped him up. It's Taylor, Stensrud, and Baker up front. Riley, Bingham, Abraham, Brazil, the linebackers. And the secondary with Tullis, Reinfeldt, Hartwig, and Kay. A second down and about 6 at the 37. For Pittsburgh, they lead it 19-7. 4 field goals by Gary Anderson. And Franco Harris capping off a long drive in this third quarter by taking it in from 6 yards away. Look out, Stout in trouble. Able to elude the rush and completing to the tight end, Cunningham. So Benny Cunningham and Cliff Stout are having a very fine third quarter.
Well, once you get that much time, you get out of the pocket. He found Cunningham, who's having no problem beating Hunt because it's just his own defense. All the linebackers are back in their area. But number 65 really had a chance. And number 65 over the years has been one of the great players, Elvin Bethea. That time it didn't work out for him. But of all the players that I have played against over the years, he was the toughest once he got back there. He hit you harder and made you remember where he was coming from for the rest of the game.
I saw you were even reluctant to go near him before the game. Practice.
This is Big E's last year, and he's had a great career. But there's a lot of quarterbacks. Be glad to see him go.
Well, Pittsburgh keeping it on the ground. And Franco to the Houston 48-yard line. Out of 3:20 left, third quarter. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, a club in transition, playing ball control. They have owned the football in this third quarter. Eddie Cunningham with that last reception, his fourth of the day, taking over the number 8 spot in the Pittsburgh Steeler record book. Nice play action by Stout, and completes the pass. They'll mark the forward progress of Sweeney, who at first did not like the aggressive move from Reinfeldt, and then kind of shook it off.
Well, who do? You know, it's one of those, I don't think receivers and defensive backs don't get to be real good friends. But when you can beat a group like Sweeney just did then, you can see the reaction. Little tap on the face mask, little punch in the stomach, and away we go to respective huddles.
And it is a 15-yard advance. First down at the 32. And the stutter step by Harris to get outside. And a flag throw.
Calvin Sweeney trying to help. Looks like he clipped. Tried to block below the waist.
Well, they say a hold against Pittsburgh.
Greg Wolfley coming off the field. Looks like he's hurt himself.
So Jim Tunney marks it off. There's Wolfley, the left guard, fourth year out of Syracuse.
Holding during the run, number 85, 10 yards,
And
still first down.
That's when it's easy to get any kind of a penalty called on you if you're a wide receiver. You're just trying to help out. Everybody's spread all over.
And it's a first down. Back at the 32. Blake Wingle has replaced Greg Wolfley. Harris again goes right side. And picked up 2. Greg Bingham right there to stop Franco. So 20 carries, 83 yards for Harris.
In his 11th or 12th year in the game, 20 carries. Would you say he's a horse?
Let's see, last week 22 carries against Green Bay, 118 yards.
That's a pretty fair day.
Yeah, that's the official count. They say 21 yards, 21 carries, 93 yards. Minute 28 remaining, third quarter. And Stout to put it up. Oh, wide open is Abercrombie, and Abercrombie takes it in. Walter Abercrombie, in his second year out of Baylor, out of Waco, Texas, just delighted to score here before the home folks. And it's a 30-yard pass play. The Steelers are now running away from the Oilers.
Well, if a quarterback's ever going to get lock arm, he sure could get it here, because I've never seen anyone as wide open as Abercrombie was. Avon Riley comes to help real late, but he was 10 to 15 yards in the open. A little swing pattern, got by the linebacker. Nobody in the area, touchdown.
And for Cliff Stout, his first touchdown pass of the season. Gary Anderson continues his perfect day. And the Houston defense, looking so strong during the first half, has had its difficulties here in the third quarter. Pittsburgh leading it now 26-7. Lifted in the final seconds of the game last week against Denver. Did not appreciate the move by Coach Frank Kush.
Well, he and Frank are very good friends. You know, he played for him at Arizona State. And I thought Frank made a simple statement. He said he couldn't hit a bull in the fanny with a banjo. And
what was his point, John?
there was no problem. There's no problem getting a straight answer from Frank Kush.
All right, Steve Brown staying in the end zone, so they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line, and we'll be right back. Walter Abercrombie off the first touchdown pass of the season thrown by Cliff Stout. And let's see, 4:01 time consumed by Pittsburgh, so they have had possession in this third quarter for almost 12 out of the first 14 minutes.
Exactly. That does not leave a lot for Houston.
Houston first down at the 20. Archie Manning still in there. Larry Moriarty on the slant for the short pickup. Gabe Rivera, first round draft pick out of Texas Tech. Senor Sack, who will be one of the good ones over the years. He's been hampered by injury, though.
Certainly is expected to be. He started very fast, looked to be like he was really going to be the answer for them, and he hasn't been totally healthy since, but he is expected to be a great one. I know they had a great one there for several years.
Second down and 7 at the 23. And here is Manning rifling and completed. Berkey Walls, a little guy, rookie out of Texas, listed at 5'8", 154, seventh round draft pick, with his first catch of the day and stopped by Mel Blount.
I really like the way he made a move to get open there. He's got good speed, forces the secondary to do some things, came open real quick. Let's take a look at Rivera. I'll tell you who has some respect for him is Houston. They put 3 guys, both guards and the center, on him, and none of them handled him.
Our 21-yard pass play with Manning clicking with Walls, and that is the end of the third quarter with the score. Pittsburgh 26 and Houston 7. We'll be back after these messages from your local stations. Houston, Texas. Marv Albert with John Brody. And we're underway in the fourth quarter with the Steelers pulling in front of the Oilers by the score of 26-7. The only score for Houston, the 97-yard kickoff return by Carl Rochus in the first quarter, the first kickoff return for a touchdown against Pittsburgh since 1970. 4 field goals by Gary Anderson as we look at the stats through the third quarter.
It's pretty evenly divided. That's what you'd like to have if you're a quarterback, about over 300 yards in 3 quarters.
And excellent offense run by Cliff Stout in the third quarter. Play action for Manning, who needs points in a hurry. And someone got a piece of it. Intended for Dave Casper, the tight end.
Jack Lambert got a piece of it, as he so often does. You know, people look at him as being such a terror in the middle and so good on run plays. I think he's better on pass plays. He's back there, he's everywhere, and I'll tell you how come he's got a wonderful opportunity to be in on a lot of pass plays. If he's going to have Gabe Rivera sitting at the nose tackle position trying to get to the passer, this man moves.
General manager of the Giants, George Young, who was a fan of Gabe Rivera through his days at Texas Tech, and who is a hefty person himself, says that Rivera is the fastest fat guy he's ever seen.
Yeah, he does have a little depth, but that's they do eat tacos. There's nothing wrong with those.
Second and 10.
Look at this.
This Manning is hauled down by Rivera.
He just runs right over the 2 linemen that are trying to handle him. Now, we've been talking about the offensive linemen that the Oilers are said to have that are supposed to be so fine. Now, it's very hard for a center to handle his job by himself, but my goodness, David Carter, Mike Munchak, Bruce Matthews, they need all 3 of them to take care of him, and they're not doing it.
And for Gabe, the first sack of his NFL career. He missed last week because of a concussion. So a nice homecoming. Lives in San Antonio, attended Texas Tech. Third down and 18. Manning slipped, and it has been a nightmare for Archie Manning. A little Mark Gastineau effect from Keith Willis.
Well, you know, I asked Joe Gordon before the game. He says both of those Keiths, Keith Willis and Keith Gary, can get after the passer. He said, we've got 3 or 4 fellas much better than we had when we were winning championships and getting after the passer. Now, with the surge they're getting up front, those 2 fellas from the outside are going to have easy pickings.
Yeah, this has to be particularly disappointing for the Houston Oilers coaching staff. They have taken such pride about the improvement of their offensive line, and it is really broken down here in the second half. John James with the punt, and this is Tim Harris. And Harris to the 29-yard line. So Pittsburgh owning the football throughout the afternoon, taking over once again with 1:10 gone by in the fourth quarter, and the Steelers in front. Today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is taking charge. By Federal Express. Why fool around with anyone else? And by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Marv Albert along with John Brody from the Astrodome in Houston. Sellout crowd, and most of them have not been pleased about what they have seen. Pittsburgh leading Houston 26-7. We're early fourth quarter, and the Steelers taking over following the 49-yard punt by John James. And off the play action, Stout. Nice diving catch. Let's see if they call it complete. John Rogers, the tight end, waved off. Bill Kay covering on the play, did not hold it long enough. John Rogers, second-year man out of Louisiana Tech, also out of Texas. He is from Dangerfield, Texas.
You know, you get the feeling this is a very good game for Cliff Stout to have at a very big time for Pittsburgh, because in the second half, after about a third of the second quarter gone, he started throwing the ball on first down, and at that time, their whole offense started to pick up. Now I think they've got Houston confused, and they've been operating ever since.
Here's Stout. Leaping catch by Benny Cunningham, his fifth reception of the day. Robert Abraham on the stop that's short of the first down. Stout is now 14 for 23. He has turned it in the second half. Well, the Patriots over the Jets now 23-13 in the third quarter. Tony Collins on a 23-yard run, his third touchdown of the day. Kansas City leads Washington 12-3 in the third. LA and Green Bay involved in a barn burner.
Rams are having some close ones, and so is New Orleans.
2 minutes gone by in this fourth quarter. Third down 4 for the Steelers. The first down is picked up. Hawthorne able to break the tackle. Hawthorne in the open field. And down inside the 40-yard line. So poor tackling by Houston.
And, you know, really good pickup by the offensive line for Pittsburgh. That was a blitz, 5 men trying to get to the quarterback. We mentioned earlier they've had to do that to try and get some pressure on the quarterback. Well, when you're running 5 people after the quarterback, you're putting linebackers and defensive backs one-on-one across the board. That time Carter Hardwick had to handle Hawthorne all by himself, and that's pretty tough with as much room as he had to run. Well thrown ball, good run after he caught it. Now let's take a look. Mike Webster, the all-pro center, is having a little trouble even finding somebody to help with. But when things are that good, your quarterback's going to have a lot of fun.
It was Steve Brown who missed the tackle, number 24, out of the Houston secondary. Off the sweep, Abercrombie. That last play went for 26 yards, so it's been a good day for Greg Hawthorne. Robert Abraham stopping number 34. Walter Abercrombie picked up a yard. Second down and 9, and Pittsburgh on the move once again down at the Houston 36. Following the 4 field goals by Gary Anderson in the first half, as you see Chicago, New Orleans are tied, and Baltimore now leads Buffalo 16-14 in the third. San Francisco 28, St. Louis 17 in the third quarter. Here's Harris. He was hit behind the line, but able to pick up, getting to the 35-yard line. Greg Bingham on the stop. In the second half, it was Franco Harris capping off a long drive, running it in from 6 yards away. Then the extra point by Anderson made it 19-7. As the Steelers consumed 8 minutes in the third quarter, and then it was Stout to Abercrombie on the 30-yard pass play, with the extra point making it 26-7.
And you get the feeling they're going to let Franco Harris get 6 more yards and get out of there.
Stout looking for Stallworth, could not find him, and he is snowed on it. Very
good coverage in the secondary. You notice the defensive lineman finally see Cliff Stoutfer one of the few times today, having a little conversation with him. Pretty good pass protection, but you have to find somebody open. When they're running a blitz, trying to get to you, you've got 3.5 seconds to throw. Somebody ought to be there. Not that time.
So Craig Colquitt is back at his 42. Nice coverage by Willie Tullis, the right cornerback, on John Stallworth. And here's Roches. And again, looking to prevent the run back, and he does, and gets the bounce. Beautiful. Inside the 5.
That's about all the work Colquitt's done today. They haven't forced him to punt very often, but he can.
A 43-yard coffin kick by Craig Colquitt, and a timeout has been called. Well, many people in the Houston area, including Oiler players, were surprised that Ed Biles was rehired this season. Feeling was that he would not make it back, and now you have to wonder about his future.
Well, I'll tell you, Mark, when you go over a year, which it'll be if they don't win this ball game without winning, this is total ineptness, and that's what's going on since the first quarter. Their defense started by playing real well. Finally, Pittsburgh got the handle on that. They've thrown the ball effectively, put it in the end zone a couple of times. Anderson's kicked 4 field goals, but there really is there's no enthusiasm in the group, and they're playing at home. And if you don't have any enthusiasm when you're playing at home, you know something's going wrong. And I'm sure that you don't have to, nobody's saying anything about Eddie Biles, but Eddie knows if you don't win, you're gone. And it's been over a year since they've won, so things certainly aren't looking up.
Mike Merriweather almost came up with the Steelers' 4th interception of Archie Manning. 2nd and 10, back at the 4. Number 4 on the day, and Hinkle takes it in from 13 yards away, and it is a nightmare for Archie Manning and his Houston Oilers.
Well, it's contagious too. That was one of the interceptions that was not Archie's fault. That ball was kept alive by a little tip by Casper, who made sure that it was a nice, easy catch for Hinkle. Look here, he puts the ball in a spot where, I mean, Dave Casper catches those in his sleep. All right, he never drops one like that. We saw him drop one on the first play of the ball game. We saw him keep that one alive so Hinkle could score. It's gone through the whole team. That's the problem.
And here's Gary Anderson looking for his 15th point of the day. So Anderson with the 4 field goals, the 3 extra points. Brian Hinkle, 6th-round draft pick last year. 2nd season out of Oregon. Guy who's had injury problems.
Offense.
Picking one off. However, the penalty on the point after attempt called on the Steelers. But Pittsburgh has just put it in its pocket in the second half. And here's Jim Tunney.
Offside, offense, middle of the line, left side. Repeat.
So Gary Anderson will kick again. 3 Steeler touchdowns in the second half. Short run by Franco Harris. 30-yard pass play to Walter Abercrombie, and the interception for the TD by the linebacker Brian Hinkle. And Anderson with the do-over, able to connect. And the Pittsburgh Steelers in a romp over the Houston Oilers with 9 minutes and 52 seconds remaining, 4th quarter. Well, some support for the Steelers here in Houston, Texas. The kickoff by Anderson. And again, able to keep it away from Roches. Steve Brown on the return. And Brown across the 25-yard line, a 28-yard return. And here is Houston back to the offense. Wayne Capers on the stop.
You know what's an interesting scene to me is usually when the quarterback's thrown 4 interceptions, you hear everybody booing from the stands. we haven't heard a word out of the fans. It's almost like they're apathetic. All right, it's like they've accepted their fate.
You mentioned right at the start of the game the lethargy on the part of the Houston fans. Out of respect, I could understand cheering the introductions of the visitors when you're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but aside from the kickoff return by Roaches, this crowd has not been in it, and obviously a close ball game throughout the first half. Right off the swing, Mike Poston for the first down. David Little, inside linebacker, on the stop.
That was Earl.
Check that. Earl Campbell on the reception. So his first catch of the day. And a 15-yard pickup.
As a football player, when you're down by 26 points with 9 minutes and 30 seconds left, you know, there aren't any Frank Merriwells around. What do you know, where you send a guy in and you say, hey, you want me to win it or tie it? Yeah. It's a long day for an offensive lineman. Boy, and the defensive guys get right in their blocks.
All right, Manning. Ricky Wells. And a flag thrown. So the rookie from Texas.
Boy, he's exciting. Now, you know, we've been talking about the lethargy that exists in the Oiler lineup. This man has been in there for 2 plays, made 2 receptions, ran 2 beautiful patterns, and Archie has thrown the ball better to him than he has to anyone else all day. This was a beautiful throw. He sat there with a man sitting right in his face, Keith Gary, who got there just as he was ready to deliver the pass. Got tangled up in his legs. That's a very hard throw to make. Archie made it well.
All right, and here's the call.
Face mask, number 29 defense. During the run, 5 yards, added to the end, first down.
Ron Johnson called for the face mask. They add 5 more to the 46-yard pickup by Herky Walls of Texas last year as an all-purpose player. His average game every time he touched the ball, an amazing 25 yards per attempt.
You wonder why he doesn't touch it more, don't you?
First and goal at the 6. Casper near the goal line. And stopped just short of the goal line.
Now that's Dave Casper. That's the Dave you're accustomed to seeing. It's the one that had a great year last year. So you got.
Dave Casper making it back from the back sprain of last week. We're told that left tackle Doug France is out the rest of the way with a sprained ankle, replaced by Morris Towns at left tackle. Second and goal inside the 1. And the Houston Oilers able to bring it home. Larry Moriarty putting Houston on the board for the second time today, but the first time the offense has done it.
Well, it's a simple get off on the ball. We ought to be able to pick up a foot. Good blocks at the point of attack. Moriarty goes in.
And a rare occasion for the scoreboard to celebrate here at the Astrodome, with the Steelers now leading at 33-13. And here is Florian Kemp. He's been perfect this season, 5 for 5. And able to put it through. So 8.5 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Pittsburgh Steelers now lead the Houston Oilers 33-14. Thank you, Len. And Florian Kemp getting set to kick off to the Steelers, looking for the onside with the 33-14 lead. No, goes the full distance. And Odom remaining in the end zone, and they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. 8.5 remaining in this fourth quarter, as the touchdown drive by Houston capped off by the 1-yard plunge by Moriarty.
Well, they still got Franco and Abercrombie in there as running backs, giving a few fellas a little playing time. John Rogers, tight end, number 87, came in.
And Blake Wingle, rookie out of UCLA, replacing Craig Wolfley at left guard. He was shaken up earlier. Franco Harris starting out to the 25-yard line.
That gets Franco 100.
5-yard pickup, 2nd down and 5 at the 25. These two clubs met twice in the AFC Championship game. That was 78 and 79. Each game played in Pittsburgh. Steelers winning both. And each Steeler team went on to victory in the Super Bowl. Circumstances a bit different here in 1983. Taking a lot of time. Here's Harris. And may have lost on the play. We're told officially prior to this last play that Harris had 98 yards.
Well, he got nothing on that one, so he's still got 98. Give it to him one more time. Let him get his 100 and get out.
Now Abercrombie is replaced. Greg Hawthorne is back.
How about that stat? 44 and 4. I think he's been valuable to them, and a lot of them were in playoff games.
3rd down and 5. Down to 7 minutes remaining, 4th quarter. And here's Harris for the 1st down. And a fumble. And recovered by Houston. Mike Leinfeld, the free safety on the cover-up. So it appeared that Harris picked up his 100-yard game, but coughed it up.
They've got about 15,000, 20,000 people left, and all of them stood up and cheered.
Yes, this crowd has been filing out from midway through the 3rd quarter when Pittsburgh took command. And now the Oilers take over. This a capacity crowd at kickoff time, and capacity here at the Astrodome during the baseball season is under 50,000. It's 47,695. First down at the 34-yard line off the play action. Dave Casper for the 1st down at the 20-yard line. Donnie Shell, the strong safety, on the tackle. 14-yard pass play. Archie Manning has been intercepted 4 times today. And there are the numbers on Franco Harris. So his 45th 100-yard plus game. Ball is in motion.
He doesn't have anybody on.
To the sideline, chased out. John Goodman, number 95, in pursuit of Archie Manning. 1-yard pickup, 2nd down and 9.
It'll be interesting to note if anyone observed that when Herky Walls went in motion, the only fellow on him was about 22 yards deep. And it's something that if you're a receiver, you're in motion and that happens, you better get that information to your quarterback. I don't care who's calling your plays, you can call it.
All right, there's Herky out to the left side. And Tim Smith to the right. Campbell is the lone deep back. And this is Smith. Tim Smith, in his 4th season out of Nebraska, with a very short pickup. The ball is spotted inside the 15, so it's a 3rd down and 5. Next week, the Houston Oilers will play at Buffalo, and then in 2 weeks, they go against the Steelers again in Pittsburgh. Next week, Pittsburgh is home for New England. Steelers lead at 33-14 with 6:10 left, 4th quarter. Picked off again. He threw a bloop intended for Herky Walls.
Well, that thing went off the side of his hand, I believe. That he had his man. Walls was just enough open. Now it's 4th down and 4. They're certainly going to go for it.
Berkey is a receiver who it appears can get open at will. He's working out there on Mel Blount. That's no simple task.
Caught a couple long gainers last week against the Raiders. His first receptions as a pro. 4th down and 4. Manning with lots of time for the end zone. And Tim Smith could not come on. Right under the crossbar.
Berkey was a little dejected. He thought he was wide open out there, but Arch could not see him. Casper almost came down with a fine reception. Enough time to make the play, but no receiver open.
So Pittsburgh will take over as we check out the scoreboard around the NFL. The Jets lose again. They're now 1 up and 2 down. New England doing it 23-13.
And they lost in their own division. That's doubly tough.
3rd quarter, Washington pulling in front of Kansas City. Pittsburgh first down at their 14-yard line, just under 6 remaining 4th quarter, and here's Harris again. Well, they want to make certain.
He's just going to play. I guess they just stick him in there. Maybe they forget about him too.
Back to the scores. Rams and the Packers even at 24 in the 4th. And New Orleans in front of Chicago in the 3rd quarter. Atlanta leading Detroit 27-14 in the 4th. And Baltimore and Buffalo in a good one. 23-21 4th quarter. Baltimore looking to go 2-1.
They're about ready to win a close one this time. They lost one last week, won one the week before.
Here's Abercrombie. And he is stopped at the line. Walter Abercrombie, who is averaging about 3 yards per carry. And he caught a touchdown pass in the 3rd quarter. Now Greg Hawthorne is back. There he is, number 27. Marv Albert, John Brody, Astrodome in Houston. And the Pittsburgh Steelers playing their ball control style. Able to pull away from the Houston Oilers in the 3rd quarter. Shaky first half for Cliff Stout. Came on with a terrific 3rd. Oh. There's a play I'd like to see again as Bill Kay comes up with it. And Bill Kay right near the goal line.
We've seen some weird ones. Oh, that may take the cake.
A 25-yard return for Kay. All right, we'll get another look at it.
It appeared to me as though Greg Hawthorne, who coming out on the pattern, slipped down. The ball's going to go right through. No, he keeps it alive for Bill. Thank you very much, Greg. He picks it up and makes a fine run after he does intercept the ball. Going out just down there about the 1-yard line, and I do believe Houston can handle it from here.
Well, Bill Kay, who is playing with a cast on his wrist. He broke his wrist last week in the game against the Raiders. Coming up with the interception, his first of the season. And here is Houston, 1st and goal down at the 1. 4.5 remaining, 4th quarter. And it's Earl Campbell. Cannot be pleased about developments these last few moments.
No, anytime you only have to score 2 touchdowns, you have 4.5 minutes left, anything can happen, and I guess it will today, because if there's ever been a day where weird things develop, this is it. No strain, no pain. Earl just hands the ball to the official and goes over and sits down. That's a 1-yard drive, executed beautifully.
So for Earl, his 4th touchdown of the season. And here is Florian Kemp. Pittsburgh Steelers now leading the Houston Oilers by the score of 33-21 with 4.5 remaining.
Now, if I'm the Houston Oilers, I sure do kick an onside kick. If they don't do it now, I'll be surprised.
And Biles in a conversation with the kicker, Florian Kemp.
I see Vic Rapp down there, an old Canadian coach. Saw him up in Canada last year. He's now down here as an assistant with the Oilers.
All right, the Houston coverage team talking it over. This looked to be a potential blowout for Pittsburgh following the interception touchdown by the linebacker Brian Hinkle. Pittsburgh led 33-7. But 2 touchdowns by Houston. Larry Moriarty from 1 yard away. That was set up by the 46-yard pass to Herky Walls and a 5-yard penalty. And now the interception by Kay leading to Campbell taking it in from 1.
It's kind of surprising to me that the Steelers are not in an onside kick defense. Well, okay.
Kept going deep. And the return by Henry Odom. So Pittsburgh now to the offense. Next Sunday, 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. NFL 83 will get the afternoon going. And then regional action, including the New England Patriots, who beat the Jets today, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, KC, Miami, Houston, Buffalo. And then later on, LA Raiders playing in Denver and Cleveland in San Diego.
Those two should be dandies.
John Elway making his regular season home debut this afternoon for Denver. A short pickup, 3-yard advance by Harris, Ham, and Foster combining on the stop. And Houston now up front with Bob Ham, a rookie from Nevada Reno, Jerome Foster, a rookie out of Ohio State, and the 37-year-old Elvin Bethea, good friend of John Brody from some close encounters in previous years.
A lot of years for Big E.
2nd down 7. At the 27, Pittsburgh would just like to maintain possession. Stout. And picks up the first down and more. Shoved out by Willie Tullis.
Pretty darn good speed by Cliff Stout. Obviously, he did not intend or want to run this ball, but when the defense took off after his intended receivers the way they did and turned their back on Stout, he had plenty of running room, took advantage of it, picks up the first. Tullis gives him a little help out, and back to the huddle.
Stout has had a very, there it is, 55 yards, 6 carries, just picked up 23. It's a nice rushing day.
You remember when Terry Bradshaw was just beginning his career, he used sometimes one-ball games by running the ball, and he was very adept at it. And Cliff's pretty good himself.
Cliff Stout out of Youngstown State, where he succeeded Ron Jaworski. Nice burst by Abercrombie.
Bonsky.
Walter Abercrombie, goodbye. His 2nd touchdown of the day, 50-yard run. And this game has just become wide open football in the 2nd half.
All right, Franco Harris runs all the way into the end zone to congratulate Abercrombie. That shows you that's what running backs are about. You know, you find the guy that's back there in the huddle with you that becomes your best friend, because wherever you're going, you're going to need a block from him. That time, Franco was in at the point of attack. Everybody picked up a man. Big hole, nothing to do but run. 6 points.
Longest run in the career of 2nd-year man Walter Abercrombie. He goes 50. Here's Anderson again. 16 points on the day for the kicker, Gary Anderson. 4 field goals, 4 extra points. So Pittsburgh answers back, and they now lead it 40-21. Has not been pretty football from the defensive point of view.
Nope. Very pretty if you're offensive-minded and you happen to be the Pittsburgh offensive back. If I'm Dick Hoke, I say, fellas, you just keep doing just what you're doing. Every time you give them a crack, they're off and moving. Not too many runs go 50 yards from scrimmage.
Walter Abercrombie, local product out of Waco, Texas. So he has caught one for 30 yards for the touchdown, and he has run it in from 50 yards away. And that'll do wonders for the rushing average of Abercrombie, who came at a 2.9 per carry.
Well, he's built it up a little today.
And 3:29 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Tell you, anybody watching at home that took the overs today has got to be happy and didn't think they would be.
This was 12-7 at halftime. And here's Steve Brown trying to go outside. Out near the 25-yard line. Brown, a third-round draft pick. In fact, Houston's third pick on round 3 out of Oregon. And he was stopped by Wayne Capers, backup wide receiver. Right here, we pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
Channel 12 in Erie, WICU TV.
Albert John Brody from the Astrodome in Houston. 3:18 remaining in the fourth quarter, and now let's see what Houston can do on offense.
Well, they should be able to move it somewhere. I see Donnie Shell's playing about 20 yards deep. Everybody else in a man-to-man situation.
But Manning hauled down Keith Willis in his second season out of Northeastern, starting for his third straight game in place of John Goodman, who has seen spot duty today. Willis with the sack.
These 3 young players, Gary, Willis, Rivera, all of them look like they're roping cows out there. I mean, they get there so fast, they almost beat Archie back.
Incomplete, intended for Stan Edwards. 5 sacks for Pittsburgh. And we're down to 3 minutes remaining fourth quarter. This second half reminds me of early AFL football.
Real early. I'll tell you, from the Pittsburgh viewpoint, they are playing very well. Now, this is really, it's the most important single item in the game, I think. They dictate the time and tempo of a football game. Defensive end play. Your defensive line, to me, is a group that really takes over when they do. They look like they've got a young group that by the end of the season could be in a position to take over a lot of opponents.
That pass behind Donnie Kraft. Good rush again by Gabe Rivera. Let's see, last week Pittsburgh piled up 471 total yards. 285 rushing, 4th highest total in team history, and another big day offensively.
Boy, and you can tell that. You know, we were mentioning Gifford Nielsen may be replacing Archie at halftime. I'm sure that Gifford feels just as good about not being in this debacle, because this is no fun. Archie's seen the wrong side of a lot of these kind of games, and I think it has to affect your play down the line.
Many long afternoons spent with the New Orleans Saints. All right, this is Harris. Penalty flag thrown. The return of the John James punt by Tim Harris, 43-yard punt, about a 10-yard return, but a flag in a game that has been free of penalty.
But all we haven't had.
And it is called against the Steelers.
Illegal block in the back, number 44 during the run back, 10 yards, first down.
Henry Odom called on the penalty. There's Henry, rookie out of South Carolina State. And now Chuck Noll has done some shuffling.
And this is a great time for a young back to look good and be very impressive. You get the defense down. You've got a 21-point or a 19-point lead. You should get a pretty good hole.
And fumble by Abercrombie. And recovered by the Steelers. Check that, Odom on the fumble, and the Steelers able to cover up. Picked up 4 on the play. Now Tim Harris and Henry Odom in at running back. Harris, the rookie out of Washington State.
They're going to let this one slide right to the 2-minute warning, Marvin. I'll be very surprised if anybody tries to stop the clock from here on in.
Won't you?
No. Now it's down to 2 minutes. And right now, with the 2-minute warning, here comes another one of those fantastic finishes. 2 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter, and Pittsburgh with a 2nd down and 6 at the 45-yard line. I'd like to thank our spotters, Frank Priddy and Vernon Eschenfelder, our statistician, Ken Johnson, and stage manager Jeff Hughes. Odom and Harris, the running backs. And this is Tim Harris, rookie from Washington State. And he has the first down. Tim Harris making his first NFL appearance. Did not play the first 2 games of the season. And he ran off 16 yards, stopped by Bostic and Brown.
Listen, it's fun. If you're a running back, all the fun is in the game on game day, and you can bet playing behind Abercrombie and Franco Harris, it's pretty tough to get much playing time, so he's enjoying every bit he gets.
And you see the clock running down. Pittsburgh with the 40-21 lead. And a long count. Here's Harris again, finding a hole on the right side. And a fumble. Recovered by Houston. Greg Pingham on the recovery. So the Oilers take over with 1:11 remaining in the fourth quarter. The executive producer of NBC's NFL Football is Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game produced by Roy Hammerman. Roy coming out of retirement from the West Coast where he is independently wealthy. Directed by Richard Klein. And the associate director today, Fred Whitten. Here's Manning to the flat. And a first down for Dave Casper. Ryan Hinkle on the stop. And Houston calling for time with 1:02 remaining. 16-yard pickup with Manning and Casper combining. So the Houston Oilers, who went 0-4 in preseason, will be 0-3 now in regular season. Still looking for their first win since last September 19th when they beat Seattle here in Houston 23-21. So today they have succeeded in extending their losing streak to 8 straight.
There's a man that could play. Elijah Pitts, now an assistant coach for the Oilers. I think they need a few more players like him. They've got one sitting on his left, but he can't do it all alone.
And they have defensive backfield coach Kenny Houston, another
That's right.
pretty good man out there.
And these groups playing pretty well, really.
Again, the Steelers just not allowing Houston to play with the football. That's the case last week and the win over Green Bay.
I'd have said it's hard to score without it, but I've seen a few guys do it today, so I'm going to back off that statement.
All right, here's Manning. Goodman pursuing, and Archie had to throw it away.
And no matter where the quarterback is, Jack Lambert seems to be around him. That time, Archie ran out of bounds and Lambert was there. He's not even in the game.
This is an interesting Pittsburgh club to watch this year. Young team, 11 rookies, 12 second-year players, only 8 players left from all 4 Super Bowl teams.
Well, and yet they do have some veterans. It's the 3rd, 4th, and 5th-year guys that they really don't have many of, Marv, and they're playing extremely well considering the youth that they do have. I mean, this was supposed to be a rebuilding time. It almost looks like they're all built.
What a catch by Tim Smith. Clock is running. And now stopped with 46 seconds remaining. 28-yard pass play. And a timeout is called by Houston.
This is one of those games where if they score right now, it'll look as if it was a pretty good football game, and in reality, it was a blowout. Pittsburgh could do just about what they wanted in the second half. They beat them both offensively and defensively at the line of scrimmage. For the first half, Houston hung on pretty well and their defense kept them in the ball game, but they never did do anything offensively when it mattered to give them a chance to win.
Pittsburgh leading at the half 12-7. by virtue of the 4 field goals by Gary Anderson. Hit one long range, his first field goal from 49. The only Houston score, the 97-yard kickoff return by Carl Rochus. And then touchdowns by Harris and Abercrombie. And the interception return by Hinkle for a TD, extending it to 33-7. Houston back, cutting the score. However, Abercrombie rambling for 50, moved it back to 40 to 21. And here is Manning stepping up. And again through the bloop. Casper was out there, as was Edwards, but the ball nowhere in sight. And down to 40 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter.
And they keep sending in fresh replacements at defensive line. When you've got depth and quickness like they have in Pittsburgh, you have a bright future ahead of you.
Herky Walls out of the left side. Tim Smith to the right. Last week, many of the key Steelers went all the way, but not the case here today, and Manning is sacked. Today, Chuck Noll has had the luxury of doing some shuffling. So it's Keith Gary, who has had another good day, getting to the quarterback, Archie Manning. Clock is moving, and we're down to 30 seconds remaining.
John Beasley got in on the act that time.
6 sacks for the Steelers. Out of 20 seconds. Look out. Manning able to elude people and throws for the score.
Herky Walls. They're going to have to insert that gentleman into the lineup, because if anything's going to happen, he's going to get it done. We've seen him run 5 or 6 patterns today, and if this game proved anything to the Oilers, it's that man can play football. He runs beautiful patterns, has great speed. He's up at the top of your screen. He sees Archie getting in trouble, and when he does, he comes right straight across the field, is wide open, takes the ball in easily for a touchdown, and that fella, I think, has found himself a spot.
Particularly with the injury suffered by Renfro and Bailey, Tom Beasley nearly got to Manning, but Manning able to throw on the roll. 28-yard touchdown pass, and it is now 40-27. But John, as you mentioned, the score does not indicate what has taken place here today.
It certainly does not. And you know, it's funny, people have mentioned that Houston does not have the speed receivers that they need. Now, I don't know how fast Herky Walls runs 40 yards, but from what it looks like, it's certainly under 4.6, and he's got great moves, good hands. They better do something about it.
So Kemp with the extra point, and it is now Pittsburgh 40 and Houston 28. Only 15 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. Houston with its third touchdown of the fourth quarter. And we'll see the kickoff by Florian Kemp. And right now, this is just an exercise.
Chuck being primarily a defensively oriented guy, I don't think he likes his defense being scored upon for 28 points, even though the flow of the game did go in a much different direction. That's just not his style. He'll probably have a few words with some of the fellas about that.
Pittsburgh did come up with its sixth sack on that last Houston drive, so they now have 17 sacks first 3 games. That's an impressive total.
Sure is. They're going to get several more.
So here is Kemp looking it over. And now the onside. Let's see, did it go the 10?
Doesn't matter. Guys in the black shirts got it.
Bob Coors able to pick it off. That's right, Coors the only man to make contact, and so with 11 seconds remaining, it'll be Pittsburgh at the Houston 40.
I don't know whether there are more people on the field or the stands.
Crowd that has quietly filed out. Started to make their way to the exit. midway through the third quarter. And the Steelers will just run it out. So that will wrap it. Clock winding down. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have defeated the Houston Oilers 40-28, and Pittsburgh is now 2-1, and Houston is 0-3. Earl Campbell, who was held in check. Franco Harris went over the 100 mark. Archie Manning intercepted 4 times. Next week, Houston playing at Buffalo. Pittsburgh is home for New England. Marv Albert with John Brody saying so long from Houston now. Stay tuned for NFL 83 after these messages from your local station.
A promotion.